Chapter 1079. Hu Mainyang frowned slightly and said, "What's wrong with that? What do you mean?" Cough cough. But do what you need to do. When you return to the vast universe galaxy, resign from your saintess position, how can I do that? I need a successor. Successor my ass. The reason your Misty Rain Pavilion has those rules is entirely because your strength is weak. I've given them a large amount of spiritual items and magic treasures so that the Misty Rain Pavilion can directly develop into a top sect. When the time comes, I'll help you settle it. My woman, I don't like to show my face in public. I don't want you to spread your peacock tail in front of others and attract bees and butterflies. Take off your mask of hypocrisy and live your domineering and true self. I don't know how to say anything touching, and I don't know how to coax you. 10,000 years ago, we didn't have an agreement. Today, 10,000 years later, you and Little Snow are harmonious, or rather, merged into one body. I know what that means. Of course, the narrow-minded you might feel wronged if I say this. Actually, you don't have to. In the primal mystic realm, we went from being enemies to being enemies. You and I know what that feels like. A woman like you is something that all men want to conquer. I'm not a woman. Feelings are always mutual. When you conquer, you'll also be conquered. Go, Little Wu is awake. Little Snow and Coiling Dragon are already there. Hu Mainyang was a little confused by Chen Hao's string of overbearing words, but this time she felt very comfortable listening to it. She asked, "You haven't seen Xiaowu and the others yet?" When she saw that Chen Hao didn't answer, she curled her lips and glanced at Chen Hao with a seductive expression. She snorted and suddenly transformed into a flowing light that left proudly. "Little Wu and the others just didn't wake up earlier than you. Once a woman falls, she becomes a fool. She's so easy to trick. Alas, I'm too awesome. How can there be a rouge horse in this world that I can't tame?" If Hu Mainyang were to hear Chen Hao's muttering, she would definitely go mad with anger. Little girl, didn't I tell you not to look and listen?" A burst of laughter suddenly sounded out in his mind, causing Chen Hao to frown slightly. "I'm sorry, I just happened to be looking for you. I just happened to overhear. Chen Hao, you're so domineering, so strong, so manly, but do you like to bite?" Fuck, that Hu Mainyang doesn't even understand such shallow things. How stupid. That's called pure, okay? Do you think everyone in the Sky River sector can understand all this nonsense? Chen Hao reprimanded with a dark expression on his face. The spirit chi in the Sky River sector had been extinguished, and the civilization on the road of science and technology was almost exactly the same as the civilization on Earth. The current state of society, culture, morals, media, communication, and so on, if one did not know that they were two different worlds, there would be no difference at all. Including the language and popular things, everything was exactly the same. This was a very inconceivable and unbelievable thing, but it was the truth. Chen Hao even suspected that there was some kind of connection between Earth and the Sky River sector. "TSK? I'm still very pure, don't you understand? You're a little girl, aren't you shy? What's there to be shy about? I'm destined to be your woman, isn't it normal to talk about this? Hurry up and say it. In the future, don't peep without my permission. I really don't understand, your divine sense is obviously very weak, but you can hide it from me. You're so annoying. After you fuse, you'll find that the person you like is no worse than them. Big sister, can we talk about it after the fusion? Xiao Wu is awake, what's the matter? Hurry up and say it. Open the mountain of corpses and blood sea to me. My consciousness wants to go in and cultivate. Little Nurse Lu Hui said unhappily. So fierce? Okay, if you're not afraid, go in. Chen Hao directly sent out a strand of divine sense, opening the mountain of corpses and blood sea to the little nurse. Also your brother, Du Jing? They're all dead, don't you want to go to the place where they died? At least set up a cenotaph to mourn them, right? You only know how to be intimate with your woman. Cough. This is already the world of cultivation, not you. I should go. Maybe they really left something behind before they died. Chen Hao wanted to refute, but then his heart sank and he muttered. What Chen Hao didn't know was that in the sealed space in his mind, little nurse Lu Hui's pretty face revealed a smug look. I'll give you a surprise. The second life likes me the most, I want you to like me too. Although it's all you. Who knows when you'll fuse? So handsome, so manly. Although the little nurse had awakened some memories that didn't belong to her, these memories didn't have any effect on her state of mind. Only the awakening of divine sense and unique skills. Her personality didn't change at all. A light flashed between his eyebrows, and Helian Wuzi, who had been awake for a while and was neatly dressed, appeared in front of Chen Hao. Her pretty face was as cold as the moon, her graceful figure, and the ethereal aura after the awakening of the endless cycle of reincarnation made Helian Wuzi's unique temperament even more soul-stirring. Helian Wuzi, who had just broken out of her cocoon and become a butterfly, her soul, state of mind, and physical body had all undergone a metamorphosis. As she looked around, bright chaotic divine light bloomed from her eyes. Her aura was even stronger than that of Hu Meinyang and Qin Shui. She just stood there, but she gave people a feeling that they couldn't bear to blaspheme and didn't dare to look directly at her. Goddess. Even Chen Hao couldn't help but praise her in his heart. It wasn't that Helian Wuzi was more beautiful than Qin Shui and Hu Meinyang, but the extraordinary temperament of her endless cycle of reincarnation wasn't something that Qin Shui and Hu Meinyang could have now. Hao, come, let brother take good care of you. Chen Hao, who was a little stunned, immediately threw the goddess to the back of his mind. No matter how noble and cold the goddess was, she was still his woman. As he spoke, he pulled Helian Wuzi into his arms. Unlike Hu Meinyang, before falling into a coma, Helian Wuzi, who knew that Chen Hao even had several children, directly asked to see all of Chen Hao's experiences. She was very puzzled. She wasn't surprised that Chen Hao had a few more women. What was strange was that he even had children. Cultivators weren't mortals. They could only have children if they wanted to. Before they were ready to have children, it was necessary to cultivate energy into qi. She didn't think that Chen Hao would have the idea of having children now. How could he have children? Tianhe sector. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth is extinct. The chaotic space outside also has no spiritual energy of heaven and earth? How? Is this true? What Chen Hao didn't expect was that Helian Wuzi, who had just looked at the light of memory he had condensed for a while, suddenly showed a look of surprise and looked at him to ask. Until now, there are only 13 votes today. I'm crying. The pursuers are getting closer and farther away. There's only a little more than a day left. I really don't want to be defeated. Please everyone, with the support of the monthly votes, Wushan. Wushan continued to write. Chapter 1080. Of course it's true. What's wrong? Chen Hao was puzzled. Nirvana space. It might be the Nirvana space. Helian Wuzi said with a hint of excitement and surprise. Nirvana space? What's that? Chen Hao was even more puzzled. Not to mention that his realm was not there yet. Even if his realm was there, he, who cultivated without a teacher, did not have much understanding of the concept of the Nirvana space. In my awakened memories, before I was sent into the endless cycle of reincarnation by my master and many powerful experts, I heard them mention the Nirvana space. The characteristic of the Milky Way sector should be the Nirvana space. It's a space formed after the collapse of the greater thousand worlds controlled by the immortal emperor and peak existences. All the spiritual energy of heaven and earth would condense into the body of the immortal emperor, turning into the spirit of all things and falling into the eternal cycle of reincarnation. When he truly awakens again, the Nirvana space would once again become a greater thousand world. The ancient powerful figures and cultivators would all see the light of day again and start a new era. Oh! Chen Hao was slightly surprised. At that time, my master and the others sighed. The master of our greater thousand world was only a hair's breadth away from becoming an immortal emperor. But it was just a hair's breadth away that caused our greater thousand world to have no hope of starting a new era. Little Wu, you mean that when you reach the immortal emperor realm, you can revive all the collapsed cultivators? I'm not very clear about the details. At that time, they were preparing to work together to condense the inextinguishable imprint for me. I only heard it. However, it's all related to the immortal emperor's incarnation of the spirit of all things. That's the endless cycle of reincarnation of the immortal emperor. The spirit of all things gives birth to all things in the world. As long as there's a little imprint left in the nirvana space, after he fully awakens and recovers his strength, he can trace back to the origin and be reborn again. I don't know if it's a real revival. Maybe it is? Hellion Wuzi naturally knew what Chen Hao was thinking, but she really did not know the details. Even her master back then did not know. The immortal emperor was only a legendary existence. Even in today's the great world of Xiandi, it was uncertain whether there was an immortal emperor. Lu Hui, while Chen Hao was frowning in contemplation, Hellion Wuzi suddenly spoke again. Could it be the soul of all living things? Through the light of Chen Hao's memory, Hellion Wuzi had learned about the existence of the little nurse, Lu Hui. She also learned that Chen Hao had taken all the natural people of the Sky River sector into his mind's macro world. Of course, he also knew that Lu Hui had an innate spirit body, and that she had obtained an astonishing improvement in a short period of time. To be precise, it was an inconceivable improvement. In particular, in the memories that Chen Hao had passed to her, Lu Hui's divine sense was extremely mysterious. She was clearly only in the heaven immortal realm, but Chen Hao could not lock onto her. Hellion Wuzi couldn't help but be suspicious. When Chen Hao heard Hellion Wuzi's words, his heart skipped a beat. The more he thought about it, the more likely it was. "You wait," Chen Hao said to Hellion Wuzi. After he finished speaking, his divine sense directly integrated into the sealed space in his mind. "Lu Hui. What are you doing?" Chen Hao suddenly transformed his divine sense into a form and entered the sealed space in his mind. When he locked onto Lu Hui's aura and appeared in front of her, he was shocked. At the same time, he was also shocked. She was sweating profusely. Her whole body was filled with a Dao Law aura that was weak to Chen Hao, but was so mysterious that he could not understand it at all. In front of Lu Hui, there were 3 pure bloodline vitality pulsating. "Chen Hao, why did you suddenly come?" "I was cultivating. You scared me to death." Lu Hui's eyes were full of panic, but she immediately pretended to be angry and said, "What is this?" Chen Hao's expression was full of shock as he looked at the 3 pulsating bloodline vitality. His eyes widened, and from shock to excitement, he said with a trembling voice, "It's nothing, Ti." As Lu Hui spoke, she suddenly waved her hand, and the 3 balls of bloodline vitality entered between her eyebrows. Chen Hao grabbed Lu Hui's shoulder and stared straight at Lu Hui, who was avoiding his gaze, and asked, "Nirvana space, spirit of all things. It's you, right?" "What nirvana space, spirit of all things?" After hearing Chen Hao's words, Lu Hui was no longer panicked. She stared at Chen Hao, who was formed by his divine sense, and asked curiously, "Still pretending?" Chen Hao asked, "Chen Hao, why are you so fierce? I wanted to give you a surprise. I'm so tired and you're still fierce to me." The nurse, Lu Hui, looked at Chen Hao's fierce appearance and immediately said with grievance, tears welling up in her eyes, "You really don't know?" Chen Hao looked at the nurse's expression and his heart softened. His urgent tone became gentler. "You're talking about nirvana space, spirit of all things. How would I know? I just wanted to help you save your brother, Du Jing and Lin Xia. I'm so tired. You're still fierce to me. Save." Chen Hao's expression suddenly became incomparably excited again. He said, "Little Hui, you can really do it?" At this time, Chen Hao was sure that the nurse, Lu Hui, was the spirit of all things that Hellion Wuzi had mentioned. In his previous life, she was an immortal emperor-level expert, the master of the Sky River sector. Otherwise, how could she save people whose bodies and souls were destroyed with such a low level of cultivation? Moreover, although the divine power law that the nurse had condensed just now had a weak aura, its profoundness had completely exceeded his scope of understanding. This was definitely not something that an ordinary person could do. I should be able to. It's just that my current realm is too weak. When I use this divine power law, it's easier to save some dead flowers and plants, kittens and puppies. It's difficult to save those who have just died. It's harder to save those who have been dead for a long time. It's even harder. It consumes too much energy. This is also the reason why you spent so much energy in the Spirit Spring Sea previously. Moreover, the sensing range of my divine sense is too small. Although I've integrated a lot of it into the 10-direction territory, it's still very slow. It's too difficult to capture the aura that they left behind. It's also because of this that I asked you to go to the place where they died. It's easier that way. Now, I'm only using the bloodline aura in the Mountain of Corpses and Blood Sea to trace their origin aura according to the power of their prayers that you obtained in the second life, and condense their bloodline origin for them. This. You can even condense this? I can condense the bloodline origin of everyone around you, but I can't condense yours. My divine sense can't sense it. Also, I can help Linger and Li Yang's souls to nurture and restore them. Aren't you fierce to me? Why didn't you tell me earlier? How can I do that? If I told you earlier, what would you do if you were merciful and didn't kill those bastards of the outsiders who caused people to die with you in the second life? I was waiting for you to kill all of them before giving you a surprise. I'm the first female lead hiding behind the scenes. You must have watched too many brainless dramas. But you really don't know anything about the silent space and the soul of all things? Didn't you awaken some memories? Fourth update, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1081. I've only awakened the laws of the divine ability. Nirvana space, soul of all living things, what are they? Do they have anything to do with me? Soul of all living things sounds very powerful. Could it be? As Nurse Lu Hui spoke, she suddenly became excited and jumped up. Chen Hao. Could it be me? Could it be me? Chen Hao choked. After staring at the girl for half a minute, he said, "It's not you. Watch less of those stupid dramas in the future." Then why are you asking me this? You made me excited for nothing. All right. We'll go to the place where Xiaonan collapsed immediately. What else can I help you with? If you need anything, just say the word. As long as I can do it, I'll satisfy you. The sooner the better. Chen Hao said. I don't know if you can help me, but you want to let me out. Forget it. If I go out, the other you won't be happy. Who cares? Can you go out faster? That's you. Don't be so cruel, okay? There's no need to go out. There's an abundant supply of heaven and earth spiritual chi here. It won't be slow. Besides, I thought about it. Before you fuse, it's better not to see them, lest they get bullied by you. Chen Hao opened his mouth to speak, but he couldn't say anything. He really didn't know what to say to this nurse. It seemed like she didn't have any concept of his second life and first life, completely treating them as the same person. Moreover, she seemed very sure that after he fused, he would hold her in the palm of his hand. He couldn't be sure of anything else, but Chen Hao could at least be sure that she was definitely not more important than the other girls, even if Chen Hao was sure that this girl should be the legendary soul of all living things, an existence at the peak of the immortal emperor level. Then you continue. I'll leave now. You're leaving just like that? Is there anything else? You're so excited and happy. Shouldn't you express your gratitude to the female lead? Chen Hao stared at the young nurse who had a serious expression on her face. She slowly closed her eyes and lifted her small face. She almost stood on her tiptoes, her heartbeat quickened slightly, her breathing quickened slightly, and her face turned slightly red. He frowned slightly and hesitated for a moment. In the end, he transformed into his human form and kissed the young nurse on her cherry lips. Then, he ran out of the room in terror. Even Chen Hao couldn't help but admire his superhuman charm. The immortal emperor, the spirit of all living beings, was actually so affectionate to him. At the same time, Chen Hao was a little worried about the future. An existence like this whose cultivation base would soar by leaps and bounds. Once it surpassed him or awakened its true memories, what would he do if it came to settle the score with him? This must be taken seriously. Moreover, he had to keep a distance from him. He could not afford to make an irreversible mistake. Unless she had not fully awakened by the time he reached the immortal emperor level, Otherwise, even if she really had feelings for him after the fusion, he had to restrain himself. That's not right. If she's really in existence at the immortal emperor level, even if the greater thousand worlds were destroyed and she transformed into the spirit of all living beings and entered the eternal cycle of reincarnation, she should have her own set and restrictions. There's no reason for her to be so easily subdued by me, right? Could it be that I'm also an incredible existence? The moment his mind stepped out of the space in his mind, Chen Hao was puzzled. That's impossible. I'm indeed a special existence, but it's because of my own efforts. Chen Hao knew very well how he was born. That's not right either. At this moment, Chen Hao was suddenly at a loss. He was him in his previous life, which was the crystallization of Li Yuan's memories, the fusion of Li Yuan's and Yi Xian's genes. However, if this kind of technological method gave birth to a life, the soul would still come from reincarnation, right? Fuck it. I'll figure it out one day. Chen Hao had a headache thinking about it and gave up directly. Perhaps he was really not simple, but what did it have to do with him? He already had his own path and his own complete life. Chen Hao did not think that he would destroy this life, just like Xiao Wu gave up her life before the eternal cycle of reincarnation for him and focused on this life. Then, the him in this life would be the real him. The previous life is over, I only want this life. How, what did you say? Nothing. Xiao Wu, where Xiaonan died, do you still remember? Of course I remember. It's at the edge of the area, why? Helian Wuzi asked. Take me there. Xiaonan can be resurrected. Ah. Lu Hui should be the spirit of all living beings. Chen Hao transmitted his voice to Helian Wuzi. Don't make a sound, don't let her hear you. She doesn't know her real situation. Oh. Helian Wuzi replied via sound transmission, but her cold little face was filled with shock and excitement. Xiaonan could be resurrected, this was undoubtedly something to be excited about. Moreover, since Xiaonan could be resurrected, could Du Jing, Lin Xia, and the core members of Ao Tian be resurrected? After Helian Wuzi pointed out the direction, Chen Hao directly grabbed Helian Wuzi and disappeared with a buzz. The great teleportation technique was activated to the extreme in an instant. Even the small wisdom number 1 could not achieve this speed. Helian Wuzi did not see the scene of Chen Hao capturing the 9 golden dragons and killing millions of foreign race cultivators with her own eyes. At this moment, she felt Chen Hao's abnormal speed, but it made her have a clearer understanding of Chen Hao's strength. She looked up to a tall mountain. He was both happy and helpless. He was happy because of Chen Hao's strength, but helpless because he was also considered to be at the top of the top geniuses. However, even though they were at the same level, there was a huge gap between their strengths. He couldn't even look up to Chen Hao on the way to the place where Xiaonan collapsed. In Chen Hao's mind world, besides Long Ting who was still sleeping, Chen Yan, Xia Yu, Tantai Lian, Ling Ningle, Bailey Ningbing, Lan Feng, and other members of Ao Tian woke up one after another. Unfortunately, Chen Hao did not have the chance to communicate with the girls who had been separated for more than 10,000 years. When everyone knew that Chen Hao had the ability to resurrect Xiaonan, Du Jing, and Lin Xia, they were shocked and excited, especially Lan Feng, who was so excited that he cried. However, Chen Hao and Helian Wuzi did not tell everyone about the spirit of all living beings. This was too exaggerated for everyone, so it was better to keep it a secret for the time being. Anyway, all kinds of miraculous things had happened to him before, so no one would be too surprised if this terrifying ability was attributed to him. All of you, hand over all the magic treasures, items, and so on related to Xiaonan, and condense all your memories about Xiaonan. Half a month later, they finally arrived at the edge of the Shifang territory, where Chen Nan collapsed. At this moment, apart from Long Ting who was still in a deep slumber, Chen Hao brought out the great world in his mind and said, "Fifth update looking for monthly votes." Chapter 1082. Chen Nan's memories would allow Lu Hui to better grasp Chen Nan's aura. Everything related to Chen Nan contained Chen Nan's aura imprint. The more she collected, the less effort Lu Hui would have. If there wasn't even the slightest imprint, then even the cleverest housewife couldn't cook without rice. Even Lu Hui wouldn't be able to revive Chen Nan with her heaven-defying inherited abilities. Of course, that was impossible. Not to mention anything else, just the power of faith that Chen Hao's second anima had collected was enough for Lu Hui. Although Lu Hui was only in the celestial immortal realm, the time when Chen Nan, Du Jing, Lin Xia, and the others died was very short compared to the time when the nirvana space disappeared in the cultivation world. Secondly, in the 10-direction territory, the primordial qi was chaotic. It was the existence that blocked all the mysteries of heaven and had the ability to seal the aura after the collapse. Without a doubt, this was the greatest help to the still weak Lu Hui. Chen Yen condensed the light of Chen Nan's memories and everything related to Chen Nan. She had long since cried her eyes out. Lu Hui and Chen Nan were twins, so they had been inseparable since they were young. Not to mention the things Chen Nan left behind, even Chen Yen herself could be detected by Lu Hui's subtle perception. Lu Hui could sense a large amount of Chen Nan's aura imprints. "Little sister, don't cry." After Chen Hao absorbed all the memories into his mind, he pulled the grief-stricken Chen Yen into his arms and gently patted her back, comforting her. "Big brother. Second brother, can you really revive him?" "Yes, trust me. Don't cry. Follow Xiaowu and the others and join the human army. Let them in kill. 60 years. It'll take around 60 years. When you come back again, little Nan will appear in front of you. Go. Kill. 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 Kill." In the 10 directions domain, the scales of victory had completely tilted towards the humans of the vast universe galaxy. As General Ao Tian led the remnants of the human army to slaughter in all directions, the foreign battlefield that connected the 10 directions star fields and the ancient chaos boundless universe began to play out. It was a tragic war that hadn't occurred since the 10 directions star fields were divided. Since ancient times, the foreign battlefields had always been the battlefields where the various galaxies clashed. There were killings all the time, but under normal circumstances, these battles could only be called battles and not wars or campaigns. That was because the cultivators from the various galaxies chose to fight with the foreign races in order to train themselves. There was no distinction between friend and foe. Even the cultivators from the various galaxies would kill each other in the face of benefits. It was similar to the situation in the primitive mystic realm. However, at this moment, the flames of war had never been seen before in the foreign battleground. The number of non-human experts and cultivators was millions of times more than before. And all of this was aimed at the humans of vast universe galaxy. It was just that the 9 galaxies now had their own choices and goals to choose from. On the surface, it seemed as if they were fighting alone, but they were only exposing themselves. Kill! Boom! Angry roars resounded throughout the heavens and earth. The sounds of battle and explosions could be heard everywhere. The flames of war burned everywhere. Corpses littered the ground and blood flowed like rivers. It was 100 times, 1,000 times more terrifying than the 10-direction territory. Hongmeng Supremes flew everywhere. Daluo Jingxian was not even qualified to be cannon fodder. This was the battlefield of the Hongmeng Supremes. How many Daluo Jingxian Supremes could compare to a Hongmeng Supremes of the same talent? This was a battle that was completely beyond the 10-direction territory. Among the 10 galaxies, the real deciding factor was the number and combat strength of the Supremes of Hongmeng. The humans of vast universe galaxy did not have an advantage in terms of numbers compared to the other 9 galaxies. This was related to the human race's bloodline talent. In the beginning, the human race was the weakest compared to the other 9 galaxies. However, the human race had an advantage. After stepping into the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, they were more well-rounded and stronger in terms of combat strength. Moreover, as time passed and they reached perfection in their minor realms, their combat strength would become stronger and stronger. This was also the reason why the rulers of the human race were always the strongest in the 10 galaxies. Chen Hao and the other cultivators in the 10-direction territory were completely unaware of the situation in the 10-direction galaxy. Although Chen Hao had speculated that this was not a temporary alliance through the Golden Dragon Galaxy and the other 9 galaxies' alliance to kill the human race in the 10-direction territory, it was premeditated and an agreement had been reached in the outside world. Moreover, the other party would not only target the 10-direction territory. There must be a series of actions. However, he did not expect the war in the 10 galaxies to break out so quickly and so early. Unfortunately, whether they knew or not, it was useless. Before they advanced to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, they could not leave. Experts from the outside world could not enter. The only difference was, when the 9 Galaxies Alliance, including their rulers, saw that no one had triggered the heavenly punishment to step into the Hongmeng realm for more than 1,000 years, they all thought that the time was ripe to make a move. If they delayed any longer, the human race might sense the abnormality and be prepared. In their opinion, the Golden Dragon Galaxy, Lu Qianri, and the others had already controlled the entire 10-direction territory. After this, the human race would not have another Supremes of Hongmeng. Tyrants, Jin family. In the depths of the core palace, a figure sat cross-legged, exuding endless immortal light and Tao nomological pressure. His aged face and powerful aura would make any cultivator's heart palpitate. This was the Jin family's patriarch. More than 10,000 years ago, he was just one of the many top masters in the tyrants. However, more than 10,000 years ago, he suddenly comprehended a supreme technique and became an existence that was on par with the ruler of the Chaos Galaxy in the tyrants. Even the tyrant's ruler was courteous to him and called him a brother. This time, he was the instigator of the 9 Galaxies Alliance in the 10-direction territory and the 9 Galaxies war against the human race in the chaotic Grand Thousand World. Even the overlords of the tyrants couldn't do such a thing. After all, no one in the 10 galaxies would truly trust each other. It was even more impossible for them to form an alliance. After all, in such a situation, anyone would be worried that their galaxy would follow in the footsteps of the vast universe galaxy. However, the Jin family's patriarch did it. However, at this moment, the Jin family's patriarch, who was sitting cross-legged alone, frowned slightly, causing the wrinkles on his forehead to wrinkle even more. It's been 1,800 years. Why is there still no reaction? The Jin family's patriarch's aged voice muttered to himself. It doesn't take much time to comprehend the Hongmeng energy. The only thing that delayed it was refining the prototype of the Great World. Perhaps it's because of the huge harvest this time, so it needs to be refined more perfectly. Killing the humans of the vast universe galaxy should also take a lot of time. I'm overthinking. The Jin family's patriarch suppressed the little bit of uneasiness in his heart. No one knew that even Yi Lan would not be able to recognize this old man's true identity. The Shao family's patriarch. Chapter 1083. The Shao clan patriarch's 10th anima, Shao Yan, and Chen Hao, were both destroyed at the same time. However, this misfortune turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Thanks to Shao Yan and Chen Hao's golden scales transforming into dragons, as well as the fluctuations of the Starry River Tunnel, he was able to gain enlightenment of the true 10th anima. But at that time, he had to quietly leave the Shao family in the vast universe galaxy after Chen Hao and Shao Yan died. Because Yi Lan's nirvana was about to succeed. Once Yi Lan successfully recovered to his peak state, he was no match for Yi Lan and Chen Wuliang. He needed time. He needed to condense the true 10th anima. So he left. Moreover, he became the Jin family patriarch without much effort. With the 9 lives mystic technique, he had the ambition to unify the ancient chaos billions of years ago. The fusion and separation of the 9 lives were very simple. He had already paved the way. Except for the god race's innate physical body, which he could not condense, the other 8 lives were like the Jin family patriarch. They had great weight in the major galaxies and were top figures. This was also what he could do that the tyrants, or rather, any tyrants, could not do, and that was to unite the 9 galaxies. The Golden Dragon was his 10th anima. 5,000 years ago, he was born in the tyrant's chaotic galaxy. In the Daluo Golden Wonderland, he was invincible and became the number 1 person in the tyrant's Daluo Golden Wonderland. He was also known as the number 1 Grand Luo in the ancient chaos vast thousand domains. Originally, the Shao family patriarch's strength would soar if he directly fused, but this time, he went all out. It was fine if he did not do it, but if he did, he would take it in one fell swoop. That was why the 9 galaxies were united and the Golden Dragon was their leader. When the Golden Dragon stepped into the supremacy of Hongmeng, his strength would be heaven-defying if he fused. At that time, he would not be able to kill Yilan, but he had absolute confidence in suppressing him. Yilan. If not for Yilan, he would have already unified the ancient chaos vast thousand domains. They had been rivals for so many years. Logically speaking, he should have understood Yilan thoroughly, but Yilan always gave him a feeling that he could not completely see through him. This was also the main reason why he had only fused with the 10th anima to advance to Paragon Hongmeng. In the 10 Directions domain, as long as the Golden Dragon refined the prototype of the macro world to the peak of perfection, he would be able to establish a connection with his original body, which had transcended the 10 Directions domain's heavenly design shield, without triggering the heavenly punishment. But now, more than 1,000 years had passed, and there was still no connection between their auras. That was why he felt uneasy. However, after thinking about it for a while, he didn't care about it anymore. All he had to do was wait. When the Gold Dragon returned, when Hongmeng the supreme of the humankind was almost dead, it would be time for him to join forces with the 9 galaxies and attack the divine palace of the humankind. Endless darkness, fragmented fragments. Without consciousness, without thinking, it was impossible for him to have any. To life, this was no longer life, but the fragments of the life imprint that had collapsed. It was just a weak strand of energy between heaven and earth. Its final fate was to merge with the most mysterious river of fate between heaven and earth, and recombine with the energy of the other life imprint fragments to form a life imprint. He would no longer be himself. After stepping into the endless cycle of reincarnation, even if he obtained a new life, it would have nothing to do with him. This was the end result of the destruction of both body and soul, or perhaps fate. In the macro world in Chen Hao's mind, the little nurse, Lu Hui, was pale and sweating profusely. Every time she collapsed, she would recover to her peak state and start again. Even Chen Hao, who had yet to fuse with the 2nd anima, felt pity for her. Chen Hao still didn't understand. He still couldn't sense any of the profundities of the law of divine ability that little nurse Lu Hui had condensed. However, he knew that with the little nurse's current cultivation base, using such a heaven-defying inherited divine ability would definitely cause extreme damage to her body. He felt pity for her, but he couldn't stop her. He couldn't give up, because he wanted his little brother to be resurrected. Pity, heartache, but Chen Hao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The only thing he could help the little nurse was to condense the pure and boundless spiritual qi of heaven and earth to help her recover as quickly as possible. However, little nurse Lu Hui didn't care about this at all. Every time she collapsed, her only request was to receive a kiss from Chen Hao, who had taken the form of his divine will kiss of care and care. Even if Chen Hao was absent-minded and touched the surface of the water lightly, she would reveal a proud and happy smile, and her beautiful face would turn red. That expression, that satisfaction, that innocence, that infatuation, Chen Hao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At the same time, he felt guilty and touched, especially when he thought of the little nurse Lu Hui's true identity. An immortal emperor. What did he do to make an immortal emperor, the incarnation of the spirit of all things, so attached and infatuated? He couldn't help but kiss her half-heartedly. After the little nurse collapsed again and again, it turned into an intoxicating kiss. The little nurse, who even knew how to bite and what not to say, didn't even know how to kiss. Every time, the clumsy but passionate response and the initiative to kiss were filled with infinite passion, as if it was the most wonderful thing in the world to her. This was a very inconceivable thing. At least in Chen Hao's opinion, it was very inconceivable. Kiss, it was really just a kiss. How could it be as exciting as the first kiss every time? However, the little nurse's feelings couldn't be faked at all. Chen Hao didn't understand, and it was impossible for him to understand. Lu Hui didn't know, and it was impossible for her to know. Billions of years, tens of thousands of lifetimes, endless reincarnation, thousands of galaxies rolling in the mortal world, just for... In the endless darkness, there was no time, no space, and no laws. There was only endless darkness. Fragments that ordinary people couldn't sense, gradually gathered and fused together amidst the mysterious waves that cut through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. What was the nirvana of the true self? In front of this kind of mysterious summon, the gathering and reorganization of the life imprint was far from enough. The spirit of all things, the birth of all things in the world, the birth of the origin of life. In a trance, a faint wisp of consciousness slowly grew in the endless darkness. Brother, 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 I still want to be your brother, your biological brother, brother. The fragments condensed into the first wisp of consciousness. In the weak consciousness, it floated, circled, and repeated over and over again, calling out, Big Brother. Brother. That was Chen Hao's greatest obsession and greatest hope at the last moment of his life when his body and soul were destroyed. It was an obsession that cut through the 9 heavens and 10 lands, pierced through the endless galaxies, and shook the unpredictable heavenly Tao. Chen Hao, his brother, had been his idol since he was young. He had always been chasing after him, but he had never caught up. He was very tired, but he had never given up hope. He could be slow, but he couldn't stop moving forward because he firmly believed that no matter how long it took, millions of years, or even tens of millions of years, as long as he could step onto the peak of martial arts, he would be able to reunite with his brother at the end, just like when he was a child, with his sister, with his brother, and together. Chapter 1084. However, he did not manage to wait for that moment. In the face of such a terrifying and unstoppable attack, how could he let his sister die? His sister was not only his brother's sister, but also his brother's woman. She was also his sister. His death in exchange for his sister's life was the best outcome. Sister, when your brother comes back, remember to tell him that I want to be his brother in my next life. That way, I might be able to catch up to him. Let him take revenge for me. Don't. Goodbye, sister. I'm sorry that I never had the ability to protect you. Brother, goodbye. Those were the last words he left behind in this world. With endless unwillingness and strong obsession, he burned himself and used his body and soul to block in front of his sister. In this world, other than the cultivation base at the peak of martial arts, what else could shake the unfathomable heavenly Tao? It was obsession, an obsession that could shake heaven and earth and connect the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Brother, brother. In the weak consciousness, there was a call that could only be sensed but not expressed. The young nurse, whose face was pale and covered in sweat, looked at Chen Hao, who was formed by his divine sense. Lu Hui's face was covered in tears. Chen Hao, who was formed by his divine sense, did not cry or shed tears. However, his transformed body trembled violently, trembled, until he could no longer control his emotions. He hissed and turned into a mental turbulence, dissipating in front of the young nurse, Lu Hui. Outside his mind, Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged, cried. Boundless guilt, boundless heartache. Watching Xiaonan's consciousness gradually condense and her soul origin gradually gather and recover, he should have been excited and happy. However, at this time, he only felt guilt and heartache. Big brother, big brother. The words big brother were like needles that pierced into his heart and soul. Brother? Did he fulfill his responsibility as a brother? Did he? Although it had always been the hand of fate that forced Chen Hao to constantly move forward and almost could not stop for a moment, it was not entirely his fault. But at this time, Chen Hao could only blame himself deeply. Even though he had already sensed his younger brother sacrificing his life in the great 1,000 worlds of ancient chaos, shaking the heavens and shaking the earth and connecting the galaxies to pass on the Tao, the obsession in his mind had already caused him to go crazy and numb from the pain. However, at this moment, Chen Hao still could not bear it. Chen Hao, don't be sad, okay? Xiaonan will come back to life soon. Everything will be fine soon. Don't be sad, okay? The nurse's soft but trembling voice echoed in Chen Hao's mind. I'm not sad. I'm not sad at all. Girl, don't worry about me, continue. You're sad and I'm heartbroken? Continue. I can't continue. How about you seal until you reach the second life? No need. After running away from it once, did he want to run away from it a second time? It's time for me to face it. I should have faced it long ago. I'm me, and I'm also me in my second life. The time to merge will come eventually. I'm fine. Don't try to sense me anymore. Continue. Chen Hao closed his eyes. Suddenly he began to chant. The Sanskrit of the great Tao instantly drifted out from his mouth. However, at this moment, the lotus-blossoming tongue concept did not appear. Instead, there was only a dry grand Tao outline scripture that no one could understand or comprehend. However, Chen Hao continued to chant faster and faster. His voice became louder and louder as he repeated it over and over again. Rumble. Rumble, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. In the end, Chen Hao's voice became more and more terrifying and vast. Walking the great Tao alone, walking the great Tao alone, walking the great Tao alone. If this heaven, this earth, this heavenly Tao, this fate, must walk the great Tao alone in order to reach the peak of the great Tao, then why would I want the peak? I don't need it. If my brothers and sisters, family and friends all perish one by one, then what's the point of me reaching the peak of the great Tao? I don't need it. Walking the great Tao alone, I insist on walking it. After chanting for an entire month, Chen Hao suddenly stood up amidst the collapsing mountains and cracking earth. He faced the sky and kowtowed. Following that, a long roar erupted, and the heavens and earth suddenly shook. Their expressions changed. Wind and clouds gathered. The great Tao is merciless, just like pigs and dogs. Chen Hao pointed to the sky and cursed. Who, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and the endless Tao laws suddenly gathered even more crazily. Heaven, earth, fate, heavenly Tao? Fuck your mother. Buzz. The heavens and earth seemed to be furious. The wind swept the clouds and night fell. If the heavens force me, I will pierce the heavens. If the earth force me, I will destroy the earth. Heavenly Tao, fate? What the fuck? Terrifying lightning and endless heavenly might came down mightily. At this moment, the little nurse in Chen Hao's mind sensed Chen Hao's condition and the aura of the outside world. She was already dumbfounded and had stopped all her actions. Her eyes were dull and her face was filled with horror. It was not Chen Hao's vulgar curses, but the aura that Chen Hao released at this moment. It was an aura that dominated the heavens and earth. No, it was an aura that looked down on the heavenly Tao. I am me, I want to be me, I want to be me, I want to follow my heart, I want to follow my will, no one can fucking control or manipulate me. Fuck off you motherfucker. Break for me. Boom. The moment the lightning that seemed to contain the light of destruction came crashing down, Chen Hao threw a punch toward the sky. Rumble. The fist light was extinguished and Chen Hao was drowned in the endless lightning. Silence. No one heard it. Not even Chen Hao. The moment the light of destruction came crashing down, a terrifying fluctuation suddenly appeared between the brows of the stunned little nurse. Her eyes seemed to have changed into a different person in an instant. She became a supreme existence that looked down on the world and stood at the peak of the great Tao. Her cherry lips, which had kissed Chen Hao many times, were still as excited as if it was her first kiss, coldly spat out two words: silence. With the macro world in Chen Hao's mind as the core, a ray of light as black as ink spread out the moment the lightning of destruction came crashing down. In an instant, it enveloped Chen Hao's entire body. After doing this, the little nurse directly fainted and fell into Chen Hao's macro world in his mind. Rumble. The terrifying fluctuations swept across the entire 10-direction territory. What happened? At this moment, no matter which corner of the 10-direction territory they were in, whether it was Chen Shui, Hu Meinyang, Helian Wuzi, or other human clan cultivators hiding in a corner at the edge of the territory, they all looked up at the sky in horror. No one knew what had happened, but no matter how far away they were, the lightning that seemed to be able to destroy the world was imprinted in their eyes. The brief light of destruction only appeared for a moment and then disappeared. The 10-direction territory also returned to normal in an instant, as if nothing had happened. In the place where Chen Hao pointed at the sky and cursed, and where Chen Hao collapsed, a ray of black light surrounded a 3-meter radius. Yes, only 3 meters, which was just enough to wrap around Chen Hao and not much space was left. When the heavenly might dissipated, this ray of black light also quickly dissipated as if it had never appeared. When the black light dissipated, Chen Hao's frozen consciousness was finally unobstructed. He got up with a dusty face and looked at the remaining aura of destruction around him in shock. Third update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1085. What happened? Chen Hao felt refreshed, his thoughts were clear, and his meridians were flowing smoothly. His whole body was filled with an unprecedented essence, energy, and spirit, as if he had been reborn. However, apart from the terrifying aura of destruction in the world, he could no longer feel any heavenly Tao law. Unity of heaven and man and drawing the spiritual qi of heaven and earth seemed to have become an extravagant hope. It was as if he was independent of heaven and earth, incompatible with heaven and earth, incompatible with all Taos. Patter, 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 drops of cold sweat dripped from Chen Hao's forehead. Boom. After a long time, Chen Hao suddenly struck out with his fist, causing boundless Tao laws to roil and whistle. The ground that was already covered in ravines and was covered in desolation collapsed with a bang, and a fist print transformed into a mark of the Tao that emanated dazzling and profound crystalline lights. Phew! Staring at his peak state punch, Chen Hao's expression turned better. He took a long breath and said, "Motherfucker, my Tao, my own Tao. From now on, it will be my heavenly Tao. Comprehend you?" But phew, that was close. Strong in appearance but weak in reality? Damn it, I was scared to death. Thinking of the strange phenomenon of heaven and earth that appeared before, Chen Hao felt a lingering fear. His brother, Chen Nan, aroused his deep self-blame and pain. He suppressed it strongly and recited the primary outline of Tao to calm his emotions. Then he fell into madness, blamed heaven and earth, and cursed loudly. Unknowingly, he entered a state of madness, pointed at the sky, and shook the heavenly Tao. His heaven-defying action led to the arrival of the world-extinguishing thunder. But how could the world-extinguishing thunder dissipate without even touching me? After that, Chen Hao commanded in his heart. He instantly traversed a distance of 5,000 kilometers. When Chen Hao appeared once more, the laws of the heaven Tao and spirit energy of the heavens and the earth had suddenly recovered their liveliness, and he was able to sense it with a command in his heart. A wisp of divine sense immediately fused into the great world in his mind that he had sealed. In an instant, it arrived beside the young nurse, Lu Hui. When Chen Hao saw the young nurse lying motionless on the ground, her face deathly pale, her essence, qi, spirit, true essence, and even the heaven and earth spirit qi of this world extremely weak, Chen Hao's eyes trembled slightly. Then he waved his hand and sent out a beam of immortal light. Then a shadow appeared in front of him, tracing the origin and recording the past. In his mind, he was the absolute ruler. Even if he didn't sense what had happened before, he could replay it with a wave of his hand. Extinction. Nirvana. Chen Hao saw the nurse's shock and horror. Then, as if he had suddenly become a different person, he crazily erupted, and a ray of pitch-black light bloomed from between his eyebrows. Concealing heaven's secrets? Light of Nirvana. Chen Hao was unable to comprehend it, but combined with his own experience just now, he was able to deduce that it was the light of Nirvana emitted by the little nurse that blocked his aura, causing the terrifying world-extinguishing thunder punishment to dissipate into nothingness, qi. Chen Hao, who was drenched in cold sweat again, suddenly pointed at the little nurse. Majestic and pure energy poured down and surrounded her. A moment later, the little nurse screamed and woke up. The moment she opened her eyes were filled with boundless fear. However, when she saw Chen Hao, who was in the form of his divine sense, right in front of her, she immediately covered her small mouth. "Chen Hao, you scared me to death. Do you know what you're doing?" What am I doing?" "I don't know. I just saw that your aura seemed to have connected heaven and earth and transcended this place." I saw that the terrifying will of the heavenly Tao was about to annihilate you. You were fucking cursing the heavens. Luckily you're fine. The little nurse looked at Chen Hao with stars in her eyes and patted her plump chest as she spoke. Thank you. It seems like I've done something? Seems like it? What's the use of thanking me? Let's do something practical. Okay. The little nurse suddenly screamed. When she reappeared, she was no longer in Chen Hao's mind but in the space of the 10-direction domain. In front of her, Chen Hao was looking at her with a smile. True body, true body. Chen Hao, I can't do this. I'm fine in there. A strand of my divine sense is still comforting you. When I come out, I'm separated. Smack. Chen Hao directly blocked the little nurse's words with his mouth and kissed her tender and beautiful lips fiercely. The little nurse was immediately dazed. Although it was not much different from her divine sense, this girl was as excited as her first kiss. In addition, this was his true body. Naturally, she was so excited that she was dazed and blissful. In the future, every time I scold you, help me block it once. Fuck it until it loses its temper. One day, I'll be able to trample it under my feet. I'll ravage it however I want. Bullshit heavenly Tao. Woo! Chen Hao was in a good mood as he transmitted his voice to the little nurse's mind. The dazed little nurse even forgot to transmit her voice and did not make a sound. Immediately, Chen Hao took the initiative to separate from her, but the little nurse was still unsatisfied. Okay, hurry up and recover. Continue to save Xiaonan. Hee. So you can't hold it in anymore. Ha. Fuck. Chen Hao's face instantly darkened. He cursed and directly sent the little nurse, who was trembling with laughter, into his mind. Immediately, he slapped between his legs. Fuck, can't you be more honest? Naturally, your reaction is a bit too intense. This was the difference between the divine sense and the true body. However, this was really not Chen Hao's fault. It would be strange if any man did not have a reaction after hugging and kissing a little beauty for a while. It could only be said that the little nurse, Lu Hui, was really too fierce. She dared to say anything, think anything, and even look at anything. With a flash of his body, Chen Hao once again used the great teleportation technique. In an instant, he returned to his original place and sat down cross-legged. This short change made Chen Hao's mood much better. The past was the past. He just had to grasp the present and not let any regrets happen. At the same time, this change also strengthened Chen Hao's Tao heart. His own Tao, his own heart, no one could shake it, not even the heavenly Tao. 50 years passed in the blink of an eye from the time they started to revive Chen Nan. Chen Yen was the first to rush back to Chen Hao's side. After 50 years, her body was emitting a strong murderous aura. Needless to say, her hands were stained with the blood of foreign cultivators. Who knew how many lives she had taken? When the estimated 60 years, which was 60 years, Helian Wuzi, Tentai Lian, Xia Yu, Leng Ninghuan, Leng Ninggle, Bailey Ningbing, Lan Feng, and the others all arrived. Even Qin Shui, Hu Meinyang, and Pan Long, who did not know that they could revive Xiaonan when they left, also arrived. Obviously, they had met each other in the past few decades and received some information. The core members of Proud Heaven who were originally with Lan Feng did not return. They continued to lead human cultivators in a frenzy to hunt down foreign cultivators. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Chapter 1086. Sizzle. 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 Endless immortal light, endless Taoist principles, and endless mysteries floated in the great world in Chen Hao's mind. The blood qi in the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood, the bright vitality on the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree, and the purest spiritual qi in the endless spirit spring sea continued to gather and combine under the young nurse's mysterious divine ability. Thump, 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 thump. Chen Hao, you're about to succeed. Quick, give me something substantial. Big sister, madam, stop fooling around. Once I succeed, I'll give you whatever you want, and I'll let you do whatever you want with me, okay? Can't you see that everyone is waiting anxiously? If you succeed, you'll be too busy being happy to care about others. Forget it, I'll leave the rest to you. My soul will return to my body, my bloodline will take shape, and my physical body will be formed soon. All right. Take a rest, do Jing and Lin Xia, and leave the rest for now. What do you mean by, for now? The three of them are the people you're most familiar with. The origin of faith they've gathered is powerful, and the memories and auras in your bodies are also very powerful. That's why I'm barely able to do it. Do you want me to die from exhaustion? All right. Are you sure there's no problem? There's no problem. You just need to keep the energy flowing. I'm really going. Smith. The nurse was so angry that she stomped her feet. Suddenly, she rushed to the side of Chen Hao's divine sense, kissed him, and pinched him hard. Then she quickly left. Chen Hao touched his face and revealed a slight smile. Then his mind was completely immersed in the dazzling immortal light and boundless blood energy. Half a year later. Big brother, big brother, big brother. Boom, boom. Chen Nan's mind went from murmuring in a daze to the moment his soul returned to his body and fused back with his fleshly body, to the moment when his true voice rang out. Chen Nan's eyes snapped open, and he threw his head back and howled. Xiao Nan. Chen Hao called out softly as he looked at Chen Nan, who had awakened but had yet to fully return. At this moment, his heart was filled with warmth, and he clenched his fists in excitement. He had succeeded. He had been revived. Brother, it's you. It's you. Brother, are you calling me? Chen Nan, who was howling madly, suddenly trembled and looked around. Brother, it's really you. It's really you. I didn't die? Brother, you're here. You're finally here. Where's Xiao Yan? Chen Hao looked at Chen Nan, who was awake but still in a state of confusion and violent fluctuations. He suddenly pointed a finger, and a strand of immortal light merged with memories entered between Chen Nan's brows. Chen Nan was stunned. Then, Chen Hao took out his Taoist robe and put it on Chen Nan. Then, he took it out of his mind's macro world. Xiaonan, second brother. The moment Chen Nan appeared, Chen Yen cried happily and hugged the dazed Chen Nan tightly. Xiao Nan. It's Xiao Nan. He has been revived. Ha! Pan Long roared at the sky, and his huge body released a terrifying power. He was extremely excited. Insect, you'll be back soon. We brothers will be reunited again. Ha! Brother Pan, let's have a fight. I'll let you beat him up. Boom. Unable to vent his excitement, Lan Feng suddenly charged at Pan Long violently. Bang, bang, bang. They started to fight. In an instant, Lan Feng was completely overwhelmed by Pan Long's huge body. Pan Long punched and kicked Lan Feng. They did not use any energy, and Lan Feng's nose was bruised and his face was swollen. Blood splattered everywhere, but they were laughing happily. This is not enough. When the insect comes back, all of you can attack him together. The girls also smiled as they looked at Chen Nan, who was in a daze. After a while, Chen Nan's empty eyes gradually recovered. He saw Chen Yen, who was crying and laughing, hugging his sister excitedly, and many familiar faces. He saw Pan Long and Lan Feng, who were mutilating themselves, and his brother. His eyes did not move away. Hugging his sister tightly, Chen Nan felt the familiar aura. He really had it. Tears poured down his face as he stared at Chen Hao. Brother, is this real? I'm really alive. Am I not in a dream? It's real. Brother, I'll never see you again. I won't see my sister, I won't see my parents, I won't see my sisters-in-law, I won't see Brother Pan, I won't see... Brother Lan. Brother, where's Brother Du? Soon, very soon, he'll appear in front of us alive and kicking. Xiaonan, I'm sorry. From now on, I'll never be separated from you again. Brother, Chen Yen jumped out of Chen Nan's arms. She laughed and cried. Xiaonan, second brother, I'll let you have my embrace this time. Ha! Pan Long and Lan Feng, who were fighting each other, were focused on Chen Nan. When they heard Chen Yan's words, they laughed out loud. Chen Nan smiled as well, but he didn't move. He said, Xiao Yan, I've never tried to snatch anything from you. My embrace is yours. I'm a real man. Brother, I'll be as strong as you. That's what I want to see the most. Chen Hao said with a smile. As he spoke, he touched Chen Nan's head. Although Chen Nan's height was the same as Chen Hao's, and their auras did not reveal the age gap, Chen Nan did not dodge. He was just like a child. Others could not touch his head, but it was not a problem for him at all. Brother, my body and soul were clearly destroyed. How did you save me? Chen Nan's emotions quickly stabilized, and he asked the biggest question in his heart. At this time, apart from Helian Wuzi, Qin Shui, Hu Meinyang, and the others also pricked up their ears. The general outline of the Great Tao. All things in the world, even if their body and soul are destroyed, the fragments of their life imprints can be gathered again. In this 10-direction territory, the secrets of the heavens are shielded. Most of your fragments are still in this space. Alright, let's not talk about this. Go into seclusion in my mind and cultivate for a while. I'll go save Du Jing and Lin Xia. Senior brother will wait for you. Let's go kill those damn foreign tribes first. Brother, after the seclusion, I'll go kill them with Brother Pan and Brother Lon. Chen Nan exuded a fierce murderous aura, and his eyes shone brightly as he spoke. Chen Hao's light of memory had already told him what happened after he died. It comforted his soul and state of mind. All right. Chen Nan and the others turned into streaks of light and flashed away. Qin Shui, Hu Meinyang, and the others were no exception. After everyone left, Chen Hao's figure flashed, and he activated the great teleportation technique. In his mind, he had already awakened Qin Ling and Li Yang. Only the two of them knew the place where Du Jing died the best. At this time, the two of them already knew that Chen Hao had the ability to completely restore them, and they no longer thought about falling into the reincarnation cycle. Fifth update, Wushan continues. Last 5 hours, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1087. 100 years passed in the blink of an eye. 100 years ago, Chen Nan, one of Ao Tian's core generals who had been killed by the Golden Dragon, appeared again. All the alien races who had been killed by him or received the news were terrified. It was understandable that Pan Long appeared, but how could a person whose body and soul had been destroyed appear again? 60 years ago, which was 40 years after Chen Nan's resurrection, Du Jing, who possessed terrifying poison skills, had single-handedly killed tens of thousands of foreign experts. In the end, the Golden Dragon and the other commanders had to intervene to kill him. Du Jing, the Poison Hand, had reappeared. His heaven-defying poison skills and heaven-defying combat strength were even more terrifying than before. He didn't even need to use his senses to hunt down enemies. Everywhere he went, poisonous insects would cover the sky. Anything that was hidden within his range would find it difficult to escape his poison hands. 40 years after he appeared, he was always accompanied by Lin Xia, who had died once. Now, Ao Tian's core generals, Li Yang and Qin Ling, appeared again and killed all the alien races. Chen Hao, the god of slaughter, hadn't appeared since he killed millions of alien races. But everyone knew that it was because Chen Hao didn't want to fight, and he also wanted to give his brothers and sisters a chance to vent their anger. The endless escape and the death of their companions made the alien race cultivators taste the pain that the human clan had once faced. The defeated alien race's morale was soaring. The human clan, whose strength had skyrocketed, turned into an unstoppable slaughter. Some alien race cultivators had a mental breakdown and chose to die desperately. They endured the humiliation and fled everywhere. But not many could escape, and even more couldn't escape far. Death was approaching bit by bit. No one stopped. In the cruel cultivation world, no one would repay kindness with evil. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth could be found everywhere. Almost all of them took revenge 10 times or even 100 times more. Ruthless. Perhaps this was why the Great Path was ruthless. No one knew that the crazy hunting and the battle that was 100 times more tragic than the battle in the 10 Directions territory had already begun at this moment in the extraterritorial battlefield in the 10 Directions galaxy. Itoda, the newly promoted Supreme Master of Hongmeng, volunteered to enter the extraterritorial battlefield not long after his return. Itoda's name, a name that had once been hidden, resounded throughout the extraterritorial battlefield. causing chaos in the ancient Great Thousand World. No one knew the relationship between him and Qin Hao, the god of slaughter. However, in the short span of 100 years, this human cultivator, who was only at the early stage of supremacy in Hongmeng, had an impressive battle record that made foreign masters flee upon hearing his name. Itoda Ito, a peerless genius of the human race who had appeared out of nowhere. What is the killing god? Itoda Ito was the real god of death, the most monstrous genius of the human race in billions of years. It is said that he is the disciple of our vast universe galaxy's strongest controller, Yi Lan. If the god of slaughter Qin Hao doesn't die and reaches the Hongmeng realm, he might have the power to fight against him. That's right. I'm afraid only the god of slaughter, Qin Hao, can match him in terms of talent and battle prowess. Fuck? Do you want to die? Ito Taichi has announced that he will kill anyone who calls him god of slaughter again. No matter if he is an alien or a human, he will kill him. That's strange. Why doesn't he want such a powerful title? Other than the god of slaughter, there is no other word that can describe him. What do you know? The god of slaughter, Qin Hao, was the strongest controller of Yi Lan's disciple. However, he has become a legend. We call him god of slaughter now. How can such an arrogant genius like him be willing to do that? That's true. Such a genius would never want anyone to be associated with him like his shadow, god of slaughter. God of slaughter? That's right. I think this title is more suitable for Itoda Ito. God of slaughter. God of slaughter. Save me. God of slaughter? You fucking ball. I can save you, but if anyone calls me god of slaughter again, I will kill them. Soon, the human cultivators and Itoda Ito's changed title, god of slaughter, died again. God of slaughter, they are on par with each other. The arrogant and violent Itoda Ito is obviously not satisfied with this title. Then what should we call him? God of slaughter? What the fuck? What does slaughter have to do with god of slaughter? God of slaughter. Human immortal, earth immortal, sky immortal, or true immortal? God of slaughter. Brother, it's not a problem to have an empty head. Don't go into the water. You can't even kill a god of slaughter. How can you call yourself a king? You are not domineering at all. If Itoda Ito hears this, he will kill you. Cough. You can't call him god of slaughter, right? That's not bad. God of slaughter. Domineering, mighty, louder than the god of slaughter. I think so. Isn't it a bit too heaven-defying? The legendary god of slaughter. Let alone ancient chaos, even the great world of Xiendi doesn't have one. It's just a title. It's not like we have to kill in god of slaughter. I think this title is good enough. Itoda Ito will definitely be satisfied. Who the fuck calls me god of slaughter? I will fuck your ancestors and kill you 18 times. Itoda Ito's domineering voice made the human cultivators confused again. God of slaughter, what else can we call him? Damn it. What the human cultivators didn't know was that Itoda Ito was even more depressed than them. He wanted to say, the god of slaughter is my boss, my master. You fucking put me on the same level as my boss and want to surpass my master? But he couldn't say that. When he stepped into the extraterritorial battlefield, everyone who knew his identity was blocked by Yi Lan. Although Itoda Ito didn't say the possible situation in the 10-direction territory and the reason why his master stepped into the 10-direction territory directly, Yi Lan summoned Empress Dowager Itoda alone, which seemed to have seen through everything. After a few questions, Itoda Ito couldn't resist and confessed. At that time, Itoda Ito knew that Yi Lan had discovered the abnormality in the extraterritorial battlefield because the 9 galaxies hadn't really united yet. Also, no human cultivator had advanced to Hongmeng in the 10-direction territory for more than 1,000 years, so they had discovered the abnormality. Therefore, Itoda Ito stepped into the extraterritorial battlefield and couldn't expose any information about him and Qin Hao. Everyone who knew Itoda Ito's true identity was blocked by Yi Lan. Will this world change because of you? Maybe. Yi Lan sat cross-legged in the depths of the sacred hall. Extremely profound celestial light constantly bloomed from the center of his brows. Blood essence was constantly spurting out from his hand, forming numerous profound runes that were arranged in a strange manner, divining the mysteries of heaven. But it was chaos. No one knew that the target of Yi Lan's divination was Chen Hao. It was just like how he had divined his own daughter all those years ago. It was completely chaotic and there were no signs at all. His daughter back then was Daluo Jingxian. The current Chen Hao was also the Daluo Jingxian. It was the same puzzle, the same chaos. 6th update. In the last 4 hours, Dark Mountain was still fighting. There were no miracles. They kept dropping, but Dark Mountain didn't give up. Brothers and sisters, monthly votes. Please, monthly votes. Chapter 1088. Yi Lan muttered to himself. After the mysterious immortal light that he had used his life essence to deduce dissipated, faint wrinkles suddenly appeared on his youthful face due to the nirvana of his true self. He seemed to have aged a lot in an instant. At this moment, a crystal light flashed between his brows, and a heart-shaped pendant with a beautiful character engraved on it appeared in front of him. It was translucent like an amethyst, but it contained a vast amount of energy. Until the end of the world. I'm sorry. Yi Lan gently held the amethyst-shaped pendant in his hand as if he was holding up his favorite treasure. He gently caressed it. I thought I could do it after 1,000,000 years. I didn't expect it to be 10 million years in the blink of an eye. 10 million years. You don't know what he did to me. I could only place my hope on our daughter, but she disappeared. She has been gone for tens of millions of years. Now it has been billions of years. I'm sorry. I have no more hope. I was in despair. I even gave up. But someone appeared, someone who has a lot to do with our daughter. His name is Chen Hao, and he came from Earth, a world that I've never heard of before. It's a world that doesn't even have cultivators. Perhaps it's the Nirvana realm, or perhaps it's the spirit of all things. I don't know. He was born because of our daughter, but he can't be considered our grandson. He only fused with our daughter's bloodline in a special way called science. He grew up very quickly, and he gathered a lot of karmic luck. He has a lot of luck in love, and he has a top-grade true immortal, or perhaps an immortal artifact that surpasses that. He has the 3,000 great Daos that have disappeared from the world called Earth, and even I can't comprehend much of the profound scriptures. He's now in the Daluo Golden Wonderland, but he has the qualifications to step on the path to becoming an immortal emperor, and he'll definitely be one of the best. Because, back then, was not as good as him. Forgive me. He became my hope. I'm sorry, I can't rely on myself. I'm no longer who I used to be. I can't even reach the true immortal king realm. Hope? There's hope. If my hope comes true, will you be disappointed with the current me? Regardless of whether you will be disappointed or not, as long as I have hope, I will see you once, even if it is the last time. Yi Lan confided to the amethyst-like pendant, suppressing the past in the depths of his heart, never mentioning it to anyone. I'll help him, I'll do my best to help him. This is my last hope. Don't worry, I'll make him learn to endure and not repeat my mistakes. Yi Lan's sparkling eyes became resolute. She immediately placed the pendant into the core of her mind. Xiaofeng. Following Yi Lan's shout, space-time suddenly shook and a figure abruptly appeared before Yi Lan. Master! A crisp voice rang out like a silver bell, carrying a trace of surprise. Back then, when Master asked you to go to the limitless star, you were still brooding over it. However, Master never told you the reason. Yi Lan looked at the figure in front of her with doting eyes and said softly. I'm sorry. Disciple now finally knows that Master already knew that the limitless star would rise and become an existence not inferior to any other star. Now, many Hongmeng Supremes are fighting to establish sects on the limitless star. The Providence, Heaven and Earth Spirit Qi, and Heaven Dao laws gathered there are already very. Seeing Yi Lan shake her head slightly, Xiaofeng lowered her head and grabbed her Taoist robe like a little girl. Xiaofeng, Limitless Star, Patriarch Limitless. Only personal disciples like Heavenly Venerate Yuanru knew her true gender. In the entire Limitless Star, Patriarch Limitless Image was an old man with an immortal aura. That's not why Master asked you to go. It's time to tell you the truth. Your Master's only daughter, Yi Xian, condensed from the longevity token's origin blood essence. Xiao Feng instantly widened her eyes in surprise. Don't be afraid, you only obtained a portion of little Xian's bloodline inheritance. Your soul is a spirit that has been nurtured for millions of years. It's also an immortal spirit body. The divine ability laws that Master passed down to you are not Master's. Xiao Feng was shocked again and said, Master, it's the Xiao family patriarchs. Unfortunately, Master fought with him countless times and only comprehended the surface. Your third anima is also the limit. Oh, Master, you want to unseal my true body and second anima and let me fuse? Your second anima has already advanced to the Hongmeng realm more than 1,000 years ago. You have 2 Hongmeng realms. Your third anima must also reach the Hongmeng realm. Moreover, it must be at the peak of the late-stage Hongmeng realm before Master allows you to fuse. Oh, disciple understands. Master is doing this for disciple's sake. But Master will unseal a portion of it and let your third anima be completely connected with the true body's memories, aura, mind, and soul. Master, didn't you say that only by completely sealing disciple's third anima and letting disciple rely on disciple's own cultivation and comprehension would the best effect be? That's right. But now, there's something more important. You must immediately enter the 10 directions domain. Xiao Feng revealed a look of fear, but before he could finish his sentence, he obediently said, Master, disciple has just stepped into the grand heavenly realm. Go and disciple will listen to Master. Chen Hao is in the 10 directions domain. Yi Lan said directly. This time, it was Xiao Feng's turn to widen his eyes in shock. In his mind, he suddenly thought of the heaven-defying existence that had been his disciple for a few days but hadn't cultivated much. Go in and inform him to come back as soon as possible. In the outsider battlefield, we need him. Sacrifice your third anima to acquire the Great World Seal. Then, use the fastest speed possible to form it into an embryonic form. Provoke heavenly punishment, and bring Chen Hao, Proud Heaven, and everyone else back here. Remember, if they haven't refined the embryonic form of their major world to the peak of perfection, don't let them trigger heavenly punishment. Chaos is about to descend. Master, can only sacrifice the strength of your third anima. Master, disciple understands. Disciple was born because of Master. What's the big deal about sacrificing this little bit? Besides, Master, Chen Hao is still my disciple. Xiao Feng said without hesitation, and a smile appeared on his face. Yi Lan frowned and thought to himself, great luck in love. What a sin. Master, you still haven't told me why you let me enter the boundless planet. Is it because of Chen Hao? 7th update. It hurts. I've been killed again. In less than a day, I've been killed 4 times. 26. I'll be killed again soon. Dark Mountain, continue. 2 more hours. Try to write another chapter before midnight. If you still have votes, please vote for Dark Mountain. Thank you. Chapter 1089. You can say that. Back then, I spent an endless amount of life essence to deduce little Jade's vitality, but it was all chaos. Later, I missed little Jade and condensed you. Through you, I deduced that there was a great opportunity related to your bloodline essence in the Wuji star. At that time, I didn't know if it was little Jade. After all, you obtained very little of little Jade's bloodline inheritance. But since it was hope, I naturally couldn't give up. Now I've proven my deduction. Although tens of millions of years have passed, I see. Master, is Chen Hao related to Sister Yi Xian? I only know that he came from another world. At that time, I didn't tell you because I was afraid. You don't have to explain. Even if I tell you, I won't do anything to him. Instead, I'll find out sooner. He's related to little Jade. All right, I'll send you to the 10 directions territory now. Xiao Feng's little face revealed a touch of excitement. You little girl. Let me remind you, that boy already has a lot of women and can't take care of them all. Who knows how many more he'll have in the future, master? What are you talking about? Xiao Feng's pretty face suddenly turned slightly red. Alright, go on. Yi Lan waved his hand, and the space-time tunnel opened. Xiao Feng flashed and disappeared before Yi Lan's eyes. Yi Lan shook his head helplessly. How powerful was this boy's luck with women? Even Yi Lan couldn't figure it out. Yi Lan only knew that the brothers around him had it much harder. At the same time, Yi Lan also knew that those who walked with him, regardless of their character, would unswervingly stay by his side. It would not change for 10,000 years, 100,000 years, 1,000,000 years, or even longer. It was unlikely that it would change. Faith, so devout that they would give up their lives and everything for faith. It was not something that could be achieved by the prayer technique he taught. The tea cools down when the person leaves. It was not the case for him at all. Was it as simple as having great luck with women? It was simply a raging tortoise. Not to mention Qin Hao's women and Qin Hao's brothers, even Yi Lan himself was willing to help this boy as soon as he saw him. Although Yi Lan hasn't seen Qin Hao's current strength, he can guess a thing or two just by looking at Itoda. He would not have any opponents in the 10 Directions territory, no matter who it was. According to the information revealed by Itoda, Yi Lan had already concluded that the current 10 square territory must be flowing with blood. With Xiao Nan's death, it would be strange if God of Slaughter Qin Hao didn't kill Podin. Xiao Nan's death, and according to Ito Ta, other members of Ao Tian might have met with mishap. Based on the current situation in the extraterritorial battlefield, Yi Lan speculated that the 10 Direction territory must be more unscrupulous. Perhaps the 9 galaxies had joined forces. Who was behind this? Yi Lan, who had lived for billions of years, knew who it was even if he used his but to think. Back then, when that old bastard from the Xiao clan quietly disappeared, he knew that it was not because he had given up. It was just that they didn't expect him to be so ruthless. Moreover, this road had been paved for countless years. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to unite the 9 galaxies so smoothly. Wanting to unify the ancient chaos is simply a dream. Even if the masters of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm are all dead, as long as I am here, as long as the temple is here, no one can shake the vast universe galaxy. If I were back then... Yi Lan shook his head and did not continue. Itoda. At this moment, in the majestic palace of the tyrant's chaotic galaxy master, hundreds of incomparably powerful auras gathered together. The true immortal masters of the 8 galaxies, including the God Clan, the Insect Clan, the Dark Demon Clan, the Winged Clan, the Goblin Clan, the Elf Clan, the Sky Demon Clan, and the Ghost Clan, were also in the palace of the tyrant's master. At this time, several old men with the strongest auras were muttering Itoda's name. When did such a monster appear in the vast universe galaxy? How can one person deter the 9 galaxies? Did any of you find out about him? It's said that he's a disciple that Yi Lan Shua hid. We don't know anything else. Brother Zheng, it's not important whether we have specific information about him or not. What's important is how to solve this. Send out the true immortals? Or completely fall out and join forces directly? Someone looked at the tyrant's master and said, "We can't send out the true immortals." Before the overlord of the tyrant tribe could speak, the head of the Jin family, who was sitting beside him, suddenly spoke up. This was undoubtedly a matter that suppressed the tyrant's master's dignity, but the top powerhouses from the various galaxies didn't feel anything, as if this was a very natural thing. The tyrant's master also didn't care and looked at the head of the Jin family, as if waiting for him to continue speaking. Although there aren't many true immortals in the vast universe galaxy, their strength is much stronger than our true immortals. There's no way around it. Once we send out the true immortals, the real war will break out, and blood will flow like rivers. It's destined that countless people, including the true immortals, will pay with their lives. Now, what we need to do is to kill as many of their Hongmeng Supremes as possible. This is the foundation. Activate the foundation of the human race's divine temple. Itoda is nothing. My disciple, the Golden Dragon, can easily kill him when he comes out. It shouldn't be long. Moreover, Yi Lan and Chen Wuliang must have seen through the clues, so there's no need to hide anymore. Let's shed all pretense of cordiality and join forces. As long as we don't send out the true immortals for the time being. The head of the Jin family, who was also the Shao family's patriarch, said in a deep voice. Yes, the head of the Jin family is right. There's no need to hide. Let's join forces. Makes sense. Let's do that. Good. I agree too. In an instant, people from the various galaxies voiced their agreement and expressed their stance. This meeting of the 9 Galaxies Alliance was to report and exchange the results of the various galaxies, and the major galaxies specifically pointed out Itoda. This person's strength was really terrifying. He was only a beginner Hongmeng Supremes, but he could kill Supremes at the peak of the late Hongmeng Supremes and even great perfection Supremes like Child's Play. He was running around in the human army alone. He would show up wherever he was needed. He was like a firefighter. His actions had seriously affected the battle results of the other galaxies. Okay, since everyone agrees, let's send a message to our people. With the tyrants as the core, we'll give the order to surround and kill him. Okay, it's decided. Buzz, buzz, buzz. With the end of the meeting, the palace of the tyrants suddenly bloomed with bright, immortal light and terrifying space-time fluctuations. At the same time, the palaces of the tyrants in the distant 8 galaxies suddenly bloomed with bright light at the same time. Swoosh, swoosh. Immediately, the experts of the various races disappeared on the spot and left quickly. 8th update. Seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1090. In the 10 Direction territory, there was a sudden fluctuation in the space, and then a figure appeared in the space there. The third time, the weakest time, she was dressed in a light green dress, and her long black hair was tied up with a pink ribbon. Her eyebrows were slender like willow leaves, and the tips of her eyebrows were slightly raised like smoke. Her eyes were clear and bright, and her skin was fair and rosy. She was like the little sister next door, elegant and pleasant, fresh and refined. If Chen Hao saw her now, he would only see her appearance and not feel her aura. Chen Hao would definitely frown and even tease her. This girl was none other than the girl Chen Hao met in Patriarch Limitless Palace when he was first summoned by Patriarch Limitless. Of course, Chen Hao didn't know that this girl was Patriarch Limitless, Xiaofeng. More than 10,000 years ago was the most difficult time for the Limitless planet. She had just entered the 3rd anima and was only in the heavenly immortal realm. Her first anima had been sealed by Yi Lan and had nothing to do with her. Her second anima had been in the 10 Directions domain for nearly 10,000 years and hadn't come out. At that time, there were only 50 years left before the Yang planet was reshuffled. She had no choice but to enter the vast universe galaxy in her 3rd anima. It was the most terrifying place for any cultivator of any realm. It was also the periphery of the ancient chaos void domain. As long as she could break through to the Grand Luo realm in her 3rd anima, she would be able to protect the Wuji planet. That was absolutely insane. After all, when Chen Wuliang had sent that idiotic patriarch of the Shao clan to the Antiquity Chaos Desolation region, he'd been scared half to death, let alone a tiny heavenly immortal like her. However, she had no other choice. Fortunately, Yi Lan stopped her. Now, 10,000 years later, her 3rd anima had reached the great circle of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. However, she had just broken through and it wasn't the best time to enter the 10 Directions domain. Phew. What a pity that Master sealed all the cultivation insights of my true body and 2nd anima. Every time is brand new. Forget it, I'll find my freakish little disciple first. God of Slaughter Chen Hao, humph, no matter how powerful he is, he was once my disciple. Xiaofeng thought of the first time he met Chen Hao and the time when Chen Hao treated him as Ancestor Wuji's maid. The 10 Square territory is in chaos now. It's better to be careful, hiss. Xiaofeng withdrew his aura and quickly headed toward the depths of the 10 Direction territory. Although his master, Yi Lan, did not say much, chaos was coming. This sentence was enough to explain everything. At the same time, Xiao Feng was also curious about how Chen Hao, who had been destroyed more than 10,000 years ago, returned to the 10-square territory. Xiao Feng moved forward quickly but cautiously. However, what made her feel strange was that after flying for half a month, she actually didn't see a single cultivator, whether human or foreign. Although the 10-direction territory was vast and boundless, the cultivators who were immersed in it were the convergence of the 10 major galaxies. Moreover, most of the cultivators had stayed there for tens of thousands of years or even longer. The number was definitely huge. Why hadn't he met a single one after such a long time? Just as Xiao Feng was getting more and more flustered, the void suddenly seemed to be torn apart. Huge warships appeared in front of Xiao Feng's eyes. Xiao Feng widened her eyes in surprise, and the energy around her body was instantly raised to the limit. She didn't sense anything within 1,000 miles. They just appeared out of thin air. "Miss, don't be nervous." At this moment, the cabin door of a warship opened, and a human cultivator with a powerful aura appeared in Xiao Feng's sight. "You just stepped into the 10-direction territory a few days ago, right? We're the 11th squad of the 3rd Legion of the Proud Heavens Association. Welcome to the Proud Heavens." Don't be surprised. Now that the human race has dominated the 10-direction territory, we're cleaning up the remaining cultivators of the foreign tribes. You're alone, so you're not in danger. We welcome you to join us, but we won't force you to. The cultivator, who was obviously the squad leader, stared at the little beauty of the human race. His eyes were bright and his tone was gentle, but the confidence and pride between his eyebrows were undisguised. Of course, this was not his pride, but his pride as a member of the Proud Heavens and a squad leader. Flying machines. His squad of 1,000 people had 20 flying machines. Moreover, they were flying machines that were completely different from the ones condensed by the law of divine ability. They flew at an astonishing speed and had powerful detection abilities, but they would not trigger any energy fluctuations of heaven and earth. Cultivators who used energy and the law of divine ability as the basis of their senses would not care at all even if they sensed movements such as air currents breaking through the air within 1,000 miles. They would only notice when they were within 1,000 miles and within the range of the naked eye. These were all provided by the god of massacre Chen Hao. They played a great role in the battle to clean up the foreign tribe cultivators. However, these flying machines were not condensed by Chen Hao. They were the top warships temporarily borrowed from the Sky River Sector Alliance's military from the Mind World. I'm in. After a brief moment of surprise, Xiao Feng suddenly showed a touch of excitement and said, "Congratulations on becoming a temporary member of the Proud Heavens. Miss, please tell us your background, name, and faction you belong to. Can I not report it? My identity is a little special. Can you take me to see the god of massacre Chen Hao?" It can't be." Xiao Feng's words immediately surprised the squad leader and the human cultivators who were watching her, and they looked a little displeased. "Miss, no matter how special your identity is, you must report it. This is the rule of the Proud Heavens, even though you can only be a temporary member now. This is the first thing. Second, our president is not someone anyone can meet. Even I have only seen him once. Third, you just came in. How do you know our president is in the 10-direction territory?" "I'm the disciple of Xiao Feng, the master of the infinite star field, and the junior sister of the god of massacre Chen Hao. Can you please tell me where he is?" "Are you serious?" The captain was surprised. If it were more than 10,000 years ago, many people would not have heard of the infinite star. But now, in the vast universe galaxy, no, in the ancient chaos boundless world, who did not know the origin of the god of massacre Chen Hao, the infinite star? In the vast universe galaxy, in a short 10,000 years, the infinite star had gathered more destiny than the 36 main stars. It was in existence second only to the vast universe star, and it was still growing stronger. Countless experts in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm had applied to establish their own sects on the infinite star. Chen Hao was one of the direct disciples of the master of the infinite star field, Patriarch Infinity. Everyone knew this now. Of course it's true. Xiao Feng said without hesitation. Junior sister, she was his master. But she could not reveal her true identity. After all, she was in the third life, and her aura was very young. If she said she was the master of the god of massacre Qin Hao, wouldn't that be terrible? Cough cough. If that's the case, we can help you pass on the message. If it's true, as long as our president summons you, we can immediately send you over as fast as we can. First update. The explosion will continue. Brothers and sisters, can you give the guaranteed monthly votes to Dark Mountain? Thank you. Thank you, Sister Binshin, for becoming the 7th leader of the Proud Heavens. Thank you, Brother Drunken Red Dust, for your generous rewards, and all the brothers and sisters who voted for me. Thank you. Requesting monthly votes. Chapter 1091. Yes, thank you. However, you have to tell him that the first time Qin Hao met my master, the limitless ancestor, was in my master's palace. Otherwise, he might not remember me. It was my master who told me to look for him. Xiao Feng said. All right, that's not a problem. Come to our battleship and wait. We'll have news soon. What? President's junior sister? All right, I'll report this first. Wait for me. In the battleship, the squad leader immediately contacted the senior captain. After the senior captain received the news, he immediately reported it to the leader of the 3rd Legion. The master of the Wuji Starfield, the disciple of the Wuji Starfield, and the president's junior sister. Although it had not been confirmed, no one dared to impersonate her. After all, Xiao Feng had made it clear that she wanted to meet Qin Hao. Only a fool would impersonate her. Therefore, the members of Aotion did not dare to delay. The leader of the 3rd Legion was the son of Destiny, Lan Feng. Boss's junior sister? What's her name? Let me see. Why don't I remember Boss having a junior sister from the Wuji Star? When Lan Feng received the call in the aircraft, he was a little curious and doubtful, so he asked directly. As Qin Hao's brother, Lan Feng knew everything about Qin Hao after more than 10,000 years. Not to mention Qin Hao's senior brothers and junior sisters, Lan Feng even knew about Qin Hao's friends who had started cultivating when he was young. This was because he had followed Qin Shui, Helian Wuzi, and the other sisters-in-law back to the Wuji Star. Anyone who was related to Qin Hao and the other women had received help from them. It was like returning home in glory. Of course, they had gone there to recruit the most loyal followers of Aotion and gather the power of faith for Qin Hao. Leader, she didn't say her name. She only said she was the disciple of the Wuji Starfield and the president's junior sister. She didn't seem to want to reveal her identity, so we didn't ask too much. Leader, why don't you pick her up and ask? All right, pick her up. Miss, come here. Our commander wants to see you. Legion commander? Yes, the leader of our 3rd Legion, Legion Commander Lan Feng. Is he here? You'll know when you get here, the captain said. At this moment, Lan Feng's battleship was already connected to his battleship. All right. Tisk tsk, little beauty. Don't tell me Boss secretly took care of her? Lan Feng's eyes lit up when he saw the squad leader bring in a fresh and lovely girl through the huge display screen. However, his expression did not change in the slightest. I know, Qin Hao condensed it. Our Lan Feng? You know quite a lot. Are you my boss's junior sister? Lan Feng asked. Not bad. Why haven't I heard that boss has a junior sister? I know all the disciples of the limitless ancestor. What's your name? Lan Feng asked. Can I speak to you alone? Xiao Feng said with a slight frown. Sure. Lan Feng said. I'll take my leave. The squad leader said directly. After that, he retreated outside and closed the door of the communication room. Lan Feng, Controller Yilan asked me to come to the 10-direction territory to find Qin Hao. Ancient chaos is in chaos. We need him and the core members of Proud Heaven. What do you mean? Ancient chaos is in chaos? Lan Feng was shocked. He did not expect Xiao Feng to throw out such a shocking and random message. I don't know the details. Controller Yi Lan only said that the extraterritorial battlefield needs him and proud heaven. Who exactly are you? Controller of the limitless star, Xiao Feng. I have another identity, Controller Yi Lan's disciple. Your boss, Chen Hao, is my disciple. Why is it so difficult to see him? Cough cough. Limitless ancestor Xiao Feng. It's you, the girl? You're Controller Yi Lan's disciple? How is this possible? Chen Hao can prove it when he sees me. Hurry up and order them to take me there. It's urgent. My master said to take you away from the 10-direction territory as soon as possible. You can leave the 10-direction territory? I can easily comprehend the Hongmeng energy. My master asked me to sacrifice myself and condense the prototype of the great world to trigger the divine punishment and take you away. He asked you not to trigger the divine punishment before the prototype of the great world is fully refined. I have too many questions. Forget it, I'll contact my boss directly. Wait a moment. Lan Feng sent a message to Small Wisdom Number 1. Small Wisdom Number 1 was now in charge of all the battleships. Master, Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged in the palace and had begun to refine and integrate the Great World Mark, suddenly received Xiaoji's message in his mind. Lan Feng just sent a message saying that Controller Yi Lan sent the limitless ancestor to the 10-direction territory to look for you. Swoosh. Not long after, Xiao Feng, who was waiting, suddenly saw the screen flash and a figure appear. It's you? The moment Chen Hao appeared, he revealed a surprised expression when he saw Xiao Feng. You still recognize me? Xiao Feng giggled and said, Where's my master? Chen Hao asked with a frown. When he heard that Controller Yi Lan had sent the limitless ancestor, he immediately stepped into Small Wisdom Number 1. He was still puzzled. He still had doubts in his heart. How did Controller Yi Lan have a connection with old ancestor Wuji? From the memories of the girls, the limitless ancestor had advanced to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm more than 10,000 years ago. The limitless star was many times more powerful than before and had surpassed the Yang star and the other 36 main stars. I'm right in front of you, talking to you. Idiot. Good disciple, aren't you going to bow to your master? Are you looking down on your master now that you're powerful? Don't tell me you're the limitless ancestor. Chen Hao clearly remembered that this little girl was the one who made things difficult for him when the limitless ancestor first summoned him. Sorry, I'm the limitless ancestor. Bow, good disciple. Xiao Feng was extremely proud. The god of slaughter Chen Hao still had to bow to her. Sorry, little girl, I've never seen my master's real face. Who knows if you're an imposter? Besides, the limitless ancestor is a man. Moreover, he had advanced to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm more than 10,000 years ago. That's just a rumor, okay? More than 10,000 years ago, I advanced to the Hongmeng realm. But that was my second life, and this is my third life. When I met you, I was in my third life. Don't be surprised, I'm Controller Yi Lan's only disciple. This is what my master comprehended from the Xiao family ancestor and taught to me. Back then, my master arranged for me to go to the Limitless Star because he predicted that the Limitless Star might be related to Sister Yi Lan. The truth is, I met you. Why aren't you bowing to your master? Chen Hao's eyes flickered, and he frowned slightly. He was obviously shocked by Xiao Feng's words. However, to make Chen Hao bow to a little girl, especially when a disciple greets their master, gave Chen Hao a headache. Most importantly, this little girl was obviously teasing him on purpose. Second update, begging for votes. Chapter 1092. Chen Hao could accept it calmly if Xiao Feng acted like a master, but what was the point of worshipping her like this? Words are no guarantee. Before meeting Senior Yi Lan, I'm sorry, but I don't know you as my master. Tell me, why are you looking for me? Chen Hao said with a frown. Boring. Xiao Feng pursed her lips. This was a serious matter, so she didn't continue to fool around. She directly repeated Yi Lan's words to Chen Hao. Chen Hao's frown deepened. Xiao Feng didn't dare to interrupt his contemplative look, even though it was just a projection. Came so quickly. What does Senior Yi mean? Chen Hao was puzzled. Did he want Xiao Feng to sacrifice her potential and bring him and the core warriors of Proud Heaven to put out the fire? However, they were now in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Even though Chen Hao didn't know much about the extraterritorial battlefield, he knew that it must be a place where only the masters of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm could enter. He wasn't afraid, but the core members of Proud Heaven weren't so sure. It was too dangerous for a Grand Luo to go against a Hongmeng supremacy. I wanted to stay in the 10 Directions territory for tens of thousands of years. It seems that I'm forced again. Chen Hao shook his head and looked at Xiao Feng on the screen. How long do you need to trigger the divine punishment? Master has already connected me with my original body. It's easy to comprehend the Hongmeng Qi. If I can get the Great World imprint quickly, I can complete the refinement of the embryonic form of the Great World in about 500 years. If there's a sufficient supply of spiritual energy, maybe 300 years, that's none of your business. Come over to me. Lan Feng, come over too. Chen Hao said as he looked at Lan Feng, who had also accepted the call. Then he cut off the connection. At the same time, Chen Hao sent a message to the girls and Coiling Dragon through Xiaoji. Leisure? I don't think it's possible for me to cultivate peacefully. Sitting cross-legged in the palace where the laws of divine abilities were condensed, Chen Hao said a little gloomily. Chen Hao had long known that the alliance of the 9 galaxies in the 10 Direction territory was not as simple as it seemed, but he did not expect it to come so quickly. Since Yi Lan had asked Xiao Feng to call him, the situation must have reached a critical moment. Moreover, Yi Lan must have known about his current strength through Ito Ta. Let's go out and take a look at the situation first. You can do it. Chen Hao's mind flickered. In the great world of his mind, the commander of the Dark Demon clan, who had long since broken down, appeared in front of Chen Hao, waving his arms wildly and howling. Fortunately, I didn't have the time to kill you, Qi. Chen Hao pointed his finger at the Dark Demon clan's leader. Instantly, an endless amount of immortal light trapped him. Then, Chen Hao sat cross-legged. His primordial spirit left his body and domineeringly attacked the Dark Demon clan's leader's soul palace. The Dark Demon clan's leader, who had long since broken down and fallen into a frenzy of fear, was completely under Chen Hao's control. I've already fused with it, but I haven't started refining it yet. However, it will only take a few years. Chen Hao thought to himself as he sensed the aura of the Great World brand in the Dark Demon clan's leader's soul palace. Then his powerful soul power controlled the Dark Demon clan's leader's soul power and began refining the embryonic form of the Great World. At the same time, an endless amount of spirit spring water surrounded him. In about a year, Chen Shui, Hu Meinyang, Helian Wuzi, Pan Long, Du Jing, Chen Nen, Liang, and other core members of the Aotian sect all arrived outside Chen Hao's palace. Only Lan Feng had not arrived yet. At this moment, the palace was enveloped by a mysterious aura. Endless Dao laws surrounded the palace, preventing the people who had arrived from disturbing it. Instead, they waited outside. A few days later, a battleship quickly arrived above the palace. Lan Feng and Xiao Feng stepped out of the battleship together, chatting and laughing. They seemed to get along well. Lan Feng, you've gotten together so sneakily? Not bad at all. Beautiful girl. Okay, my name is Du Jing. May I know how to address you? You're Du Jing? I'm Xiao Feng with? When Lan Feng awkwardly winked at Du Jing, Xiao Feng frowned and looked at Du Jing. However, he was interrupted by Du Jing again before he could finish his sentence. Feng? Pa, you have the same name. Not bad, not bad. You're a good match. You're almost comparable to me and little Xia. Du Jing hugged Lin Xia's waist, not thinking how shameless he was. Ever since he had sacrificed himself to become a demon and Lin Xia had died with him once, Du Jing and Lin Xia were inseparable. They were so close that they were like one person. The only thing missing was making love. Moreover, they kissed in front of everyone without any scruples. The others were fine. At first, Pan Long despised and beat them up every time he saw them. However, after a few times, he got used to it. Brother Lan, Do you know why my brother called us here? You don't know? I don't know. The sisters-in-law don't know what's going on. They just asked us to hurry over. Chen Nan was the most normal one. Xiao Feng, you tell them. Lan Feng looked at Xiao Feng and said. Xiao Feng originally wanted to say something, but when he heard Lan Feng's words, he only glared fiercely at Du Jing. Du Jing looked at the two with an ambiguous smile and suddenly said, I know. So it's because our son of destiny found us a sister-in-law, huh? Itchen? That's right. Why didn't I think of that? Damn it. Worm, you died once but you're still smarter than me. Pan Long patted his huge head and said, Xiao Feng wanted to vomit blood. What kind of people were these? These were the core generals of Ao Tian who shook the primitive secret realm and the ancient chaos great thousand world? Their auras were indeed terrifying, but their intelligence... Hello, sister-in-law. I'm Chen Shui. Nice to meet you. Hello, sister. I'm Hu Mainyang. Hu Mainyang smiled sweetly and followed Chen Shui. Helian Wuzi, Lan Feng is indeed the son of destiny to be able to find such a beautiful and young Dao companion like you. Your aura is very special. The aura of your physical body. Helian Wuzi said with bright eyes. Sister-in-law, I'm Long Ting. You have the aura of the undying bloodline. Ah. Xiao Feng was tongue-tied and his face turned green. Faced with the probing of so many powerful auras, one after another, they took the initiative to greet her. She wanted to say something, but she didn't have the chance to. Hello, sister-in-law. I'm Tan Tai Lian. Sister-in-law, I'm Xia Yuyu. Sister-in-law, we're Huan Huan Lele. Bailey Ning Bing. Bailey Ning Bing's face turned slightly red. She still had a knot in her heart. She was embarrassed to call Xiao Feng sister-in-law in front of everyone. Brother, hey little Yen, are you blushing? When Chen Yen called her sister-in-law, Du Jing interrupted. Chen Yen was already embarrassed but still gathered her courage and moved closer to the army of sisters-in-law. Anyway, her brother wasn't here. She was interrupted by Du Jing and her face turned red. She was so angry that she hit her feet and said, Stupid worm. Sister Xia, are you going to do something about it? Third update looking for monthly votes. After an all-nighter, I'm very tired today and my efficiency is very low. Dark Mountain will try to finish the fifth update before 12. Looking for guaranteed monthly votes. Thank you. Chapter 1093. Io. Sister-in-law Yen, how can you call me sister? Lin Xia said exaggeratedly. The word, sister-in-law, was loud and clear. Chen Yen was tongue-tied and stunned. Haha. Everyone burst into laughter. Lan Feng's head was hanging so low that it almost reached his crotch, but he was still holding it in. If he didn't want to explain, then he wouldn't explain. Why did he have to explain? This girl was not bad. He seemed to like her a lot. She was fresh and cute like the little sister next door. Also, she was the disciple of Yi Lan. How could she be bad? Moreover, he had learned along the way that Xiao Feng was in the third life, which was a divine ability that Yi Lan had comprehended from the Xiao family's ancestor. His original body and second life were already Hongming's supreme beings. If he could deal with her, it would be a huge gain. Of course, the most important thing was that Lan Feng had repeatedly asked around and confirmed that Xiao Feng had nothing to do with his boss. Therefore, Lan Feng was unwilling to pass on his responsibility to his sisters-in-law. He sacrificed himself and stood in front of his boss for all the girls. Sister-in-law, don't be shy. We're all very casual people. You have to be thick-skinned in front of us. Otherwise, you'll only be bullied. Lan Feng has good taste, but so do you, sister-in-law. Our Lan Feng is just a little bit inferior to me and boss. His appearance, talent, and strength are all top-notch. Nonsense. Worm, Lan Feng is much more handsome than you. He's just a bit inferior to my boss and me. Pan Long slapped Du Jing away and said. This time, even Xiao Feng burst into laughter. What kind of people were they? Are you done talking? Xiao Feng finally seized the opportunity and asked. Sister-in-law, why don't you introduce him to us? I'll do it. At this time, Lan Feng finally opened his mouth and said, Xiao Feng, I have another identity. The ruler of Wuji Starfield, Ancestor Wuji. Lan Feng's words shocked Chen Shui, Heli and Wuzi, and the rest of the people from Wuji Starfield. Ancestor Wuji. To them, this was like the heavens in the past. Moreover, wasn't Ancestor Wuji a man? I have another identity. I'm Yilan's disciple. This is Xiao Feng's third anima. His original body and second anima are already Hongming's supreme. Whoosh! The crowd was once again in an uproar. Xiao Feng came to look for boss and us under Yilan's orders. The ancient chaos is about to descend into chaos. The extraterritorial battlefield needs us. What? Lan Feng's 3 sentences were like 3 heavy bombs, causing everyone to reveal shocked and dignified expressions. That's why boss called us here. Look at this aura. Boss should be refining his great world imprint with all his might. At this moment, Xiao Feng glared at Lan Feng and couldn't help but say, it's about to take shape. She originally thought that Lan Feng would explain their relationship, but she didn't expect that this guy didn't even mention it. However, at this time, she couldn't care less. She continued, my master? Controller Yilan said that you can't trigger heaven's punishment before you condense it to a perfect state. We have to stop him quickly. It's fine. This aura doesn't belong to Big Brother. It's from the Sky Fiend race's commander. Li Yang, who had been smiling without speaking, said with a smile as he gently hugged Qinling, looks like we'll have to leave the 10 Directions territory. Qinling said, the extraterritorial battlefield needs us. The extraterritorial battlefield is basically a place where the experts of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm from the 10 major galaxies fight. However, our current strength is enough to enter the battlefield. Hu Mainyang said confidently after frowning slightly, her eyes shining brightly. Rebirth after rebirth, metamorphosing from a cocoon. Chen Nan and Du Jing had been reborn from the ashes. The imperfect impurities in their souls had been removed by the little nurse, Lu Hui. There was no need to mention their physical bodies. It was the same for Lin Xia, who had been the weakest. Her strength had also increased greatly. Challenging those of a higher level? I like it. I was just worrying about not having anyone to train with. Training in the extraterritorial battlefield will undoubtedly make us stronger. When the time comes to refine the great world imprint, it'll be even more perfect. That's simply wonderful. I'm looking forward to it. Xiao Feng's eyes widened when he saw how excited Ao Tian and the other famous geniuses were. Even if the reserved girls did not say anything, the faint ripples in their auras proved that they were no different from Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, and the others. It was also at this moment that the palace shook abruptly, and an even more dazzling and majestic immortal light shot out. Everyone's here? At the same time, Chen Hao's voice drifted into everyone's ears. Brother! A figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone. They frowned slightly when they saw him, but they knew that it was Chen Hao. Brother, don't go alone this time. Don't worry, I'll keep my word. We'll leave together and we'll return together. Since all of you want to train, let's go together. Chen Hao? Yes, sister-in-law. What is it? Oh, Senior Yi asked you to sacrifice yourself, but there's no need for that. The disciples of the Sky Demon Tribe are enough. There's no problem triggering heavenly punishment now, but all of you should make arrangements for the human legions. We'll kill for a few hundred years, and if we can't find any, just guard the core areas. There'll be a legion patrolling the area, and kill anyone who enters. Once you're done, we'll depart, Chen Hao said with a smile. Xiao Feng clenched her teeth in anger. So Chen Hao had heard everything she said just now. It was one thing for others to misunderstand her identity, but Chen Hao already knew that she was forefather limitless, even if he did not admit it. Chen Hao didn't avoid Xiao Feng and instead indifferently said, fate came and went, and we didn't go through the ceremony of apprenticeship. Now that you've become my sister-in-law, let's write off everything from before. How could I? Before Xiao Feng could say anything else, Chen Hao turned to the others and said, wives, brothers, hurry up and make arrangements. Alright. Everyone went to the warship and Chen Hao followed behind Chen Shui, but Chen Shui kicked him and shouted, "Don't come near me, it's not you now." Xiao Feng stomped her feet in anger. She finally understood that this group of people were all scoundrels. Psst, psst. Sister Xiao Feng, are you going to board my warship or wait here? Won't it be boring to wait? Come with me. Lan Feng said as he grabbed Xiao Feng's hand. It seemed unintentional, but the aura around him was very strong, and Xiao Feng, who was obviously much weaker than him, could not resist. She turned into a ray of light and flew toward Lan Feng's warship. Lan Feng, why are you such a bastard? Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy. Thank you. Chapter 1094. Sister Xiao, what's wrong with me? I had a good impression of you. Let go of me. Oh, I forgot. I'll arrange it first. You can do whatever you want. Although Lan Feng said that, he still didn't let go of her hand. Let go. Yes. At this time, Lan Feng slowly and reluctantly let go of Xiao Feng's hand as if it was in slow motion. Shameless. Xiao Feng's face turned slightly red as she saw Lan Feng turning his head 3 times with every step he took. Every time he turned back, he would smile and nod. Lan Feng scratched his head. He didn't seem to care at all as he walked into the communications room. I'm the Infinity Ancestor, but I was... Xiao Feng felt suffocated and her chest puffed up with anger. However, she didn't continue roaring in her heart. Too strong. They're all too strong. Xiao Feng couldn't help but sigh. Although she was definitely an old person, to these people, she didn't have the qualifications to be one now. Especially when she was in the 3rd anima, she was only a newcomer in front of them. When she saw Lan Feng the Enlightened Master, she was shocked. Although they were in the same realm, Lan Feng gave her the feeling of looking up to a tall mountain. His aura was so powerful that it was a mess. This was much more than what she knew about Ao Tian's core generals. It could be said that after stepping into the 10-direction territory, everything she saw and heard was shocking. Especially after Lan Feng showed Xiao Feng his light of memory, she was even more shocked. Powerful, it was really powerful. Ao Tian led the human cultivators and killed almost all of the 9 Galaxies Alliance. Now, the 10-direction territory could be said to be the world of the human race and Ao Tian's world. In the light of memory that Lan Feng gave her, she saw all of Lan Feng's amazing performances. This made her look at Lan Feng from the side. After meeting him, Lan Feng the Enlightened Master showed a terrifying aura and a handsome appearance. This made her and Lan Feng talk very happily. She didn't know that the light of memory that Lan Feng condensed deliberately strengthened his image and diluted the image of everyone, including Chen Hao. It even made them ugly. He could do anything for his brother, and he could stab his brother in the back for a woman. Of course, Lan Feng wasn't that ruthless. However, for the sake of a woman, there was absolutely no problem in elevating oneself and discrediting one's brothers. Lan Feng, who had been stimulated by Du Jing and Lin Xia, had long been considering the issue of a Dao companion. However, he had been suffering from the lack of a suitable partner. When he saw Xiao Feng on the display screen, his eyes lit up. He even suspected that Xiao Feng had an affair with his boss. After seeing him, Xiao Feng's heart was moved. Especially when he sensed the other party's aura and found out about Xiao Feng's situation and that he was basically unrelated to boss, how could he hold himself back? Finally, a woman who could move his heart had appeared after a long time of yearning. If you don't recognize me as your master, I won't recognize you as my disciple either. What's so great about that? Sure enough, it's just as Master and Lan Feng said. Xiao Feng thought to himself. His right hand brushed against his left hand that Lan Feng had been holding. A strange feeling rippled through his heart. The limitless forefather had 3 lives. To her, this identity was just a mission, a fake identity. Although she had grown up on the limitless planet with 3 lives, her true heart had always remained at a higher level. After all, her master was Yi Lan, the strongest controller in the vast universe star system. Therefore, apart from direct disciples like Yuan Ru, or more accurately, direct disciples, it was very difficult for them to see her true face. She, who had a broader sky in her heart, would not lower herself and have feelings for someone who was destined to be on a different level. However, the core generals of proud heaven were different. Boss, brothers, sisters-in-law, thank you so much. You must help me. My heart skipped a beat the moment I saw her. In the communication room, the first thing Lan Feng did after entering was not to arrange for the army, but to contact Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, Qin Shui, and the others. Don't disgust me. Coiling Dragon waved his fist. Ditto. Du Jing also said. I'm serious. Boss, brothers, dear brothers, you have to give me a chance to perform. Also, if she has any prejudice against you for the time being, don't take it to heart. In order to highlight my glorious image, I can only betray you. So that's how it is? I was wondering how she could resist. Although I also exerted some pressure, it was not to the extent that she could not resist. Damn it, Lan Feng, you're really evil. Du Jing said. You're not a good person either. Lin Xia suddenly looked at Du Jing and said. Originally, Lin Xia wanted to spar with Coiling Dragon, but Du Jing recommended himself and replaced Coiling Dragon. Since then, Lin Xia only went to find Du Jing. As for what exactly happened, only Du Jing and Lin Xia knew. Now, it seemed that there was something fishy. Du Jing immediately shut up. Old ancestor Wuji. Back then, he was the sky of all the cultivators on Wuji planet, and how was his disciple? I didn't expect him to be a woman, and the disciple of Senior Yi Lan. It's really unbelievable. Xia Yu said. The world is strange. Cough cough, that's her fake identity. Don't worry, when I'm done, I won't make you call me senior. Lan Feng said with a smug smile. All right, hurry up and make the arrangements. Don't tell them that we're out, just say that we're in seclusion and no one is to disturb us. Once you're done, we'll set off. Yes. 4 hours later, everyone had made the necessary arrangements. Chen Hao completely controlled the Dark Demon Clan commander, who had become a puppet, and triggered Heaven's punishment. Everyone and Chen Hao's physical body entered the puppet's mind world the moment Heaven's punishment appeared and the embryonic form of the mind world, Hongmeng, opened. Such a strong mind world? The moment they entered, Qin Shui and the others didn't feel anything, but Xiao Feng was shocked. Was this really condensed casually? Or was it condensed by controlling the soul of this Dark Demon Clan commander? Xiao Feng had already connected with his original body because his master wanted him to bring Chen Hao and the others out. Therefore, the original comprehension and memories of his original body's cultivation appeared. The frame of this Dark Demon Clan commander's mind world was even stronger than his original body's and second animus. That's right. This Dark Demon Clan commander is the Dark Demon Clan's commander in the 10 Directions territory. He must be a super monstrous genius. The frame of his refinement must be stronger. Xiao Feng thought. She didn't think that Chen Hao had helped her condense it in a short 1 year. But the truth was that Chen Hao had done it in a year. Originally, the Dark Demon Clan commander didn't even have time to refine his frame. 5th update, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1095. 1 year. In just 1 year, the framework of the prototype of the Great World had become so powerful. What kind of concept was that? Unfortunately, Qin Shui and the others had not even obtained the Great World mark, so they had no concept of the prototype of the Great World. Moreover, they were used to seeing Chen Hao's Great World in his mind, so they did not feel anything about the framework of the Great World ruled by the Dark Demon Clan. As for Chen Hao himself, he did not feel anything either. When he helped Ito Taichi to refine the Great World, it was many times more powerful than the Dark Demon Clan commanders. I used the Dark Demon Clan commander to trigger Heaven's punishment. If we go out, I'm afraid we will reach the Dark Demon Clan's Dark Galaxy. Chen Hao's primordial spirit had returned to his mind, but he could still easily control the collapsed Dark Demon Clan commander. When we entered from the entrance of the vast universe galaxy. The 10 galaxies all have their own entrances. When we go out, we will go to the exit of the galaxy where our imprints are. Hu Meinyang said. Then you all come into my great world in my mind. Okay. But your great world in your mind? Everyone replied. However, Xiao Feng was surprised. Sister Feng, our boss already has a great world in his mind. Don't be surprised. Let's go, I'll bring you into play. Lan Feng said hurriedly. As he spoke, he did not allow Xiao Feng to refute. He shamelessly grabbed Xiao Feng's little hand and plunged it into Chen Hao's glabella. The moment it went in, he winked at Chen Hao. The others were well aware of it, but their expressions did not change. They also plunged into Chen Hao's glabella. Well, don't say I didn't take care of you. The moment everyone went in, Chen Hao's lips curled into an evil smile. Of course, this was directed at Lan Feng and Xiao Feng. Us. In an instant, in the great world in his mind, Xiao Feng and Lan Feng's terrified screams came out from the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood. Endless fear and pressure pounced on the two like ferocious ghosts. At the same time, endless mysterious Tao laws condensed in Chen Hao's mind and surrounded the two. The rest was up to them. Under fear was undoubtedly the best opportunity to develop a relationship. Rumble teeth. Just as the terrifying heavenly punishment was about to end, the Milky Way tunnel that connected the 9 heavens 10 earths finally appeared. Chen Hao took control of the Dark Devil Clan's commander and stepped inside. Space trembled, and the Dark Demon Clan commander appeared in the Star River tunnel filled with endless mysteries and ancient auras. 2 directions, 2 passageways. It was a light gate that had no end in sight, and one could see the end of it with the naked eye. It was shining brightly like a space-time gate. Chen Hao took a deep breath and completely concealed his aura. His figure flashed and stepped into the light door. Time and space twisted, and Chen Hao suddenly appeared in the real great wide world. Just like Itota back then, he sensed the fresh air and the vitality of all things. Although the world was weak, the laws of the heavenly Tao were more complete and stable. This made Chen Hao feel relaxed and happy. Ancient chaos, Chen Hao, have returned. Chen Hao said excitedly in his heart, and then let out a long roar. Of course, he was completely controlling the Dark Demon Clan commander and did not release his aura at all. Moreover, the Dark Demon Clan puppet that had stepped into the Hongmeng realm was definitely 10 times stronger than before. Chen Hao knew that if the Dark Demon Clan commander was completely controlled by his soul, it would definitely be 10 times or even 100 times stronger. In an instant, streaks of flowing light appeared and surrounded Chen Hao. Gao Kuan, Brother Gao, congratulations on ascending to Hongmeng. Congratulations, congratulations. Brother Gao Kuan is indeed the strongest person in Zenith Heaven. In just a little over 1,000 years, you have ascended to the Supreme of Hongmeng. This is really unprecedented. Brother Gao Kuan's aura is so powerful. It's only been a little over 1,000 years. Amazing, really amazing. What a pity, Brother Gao Kuan. If you had cultivated for a few more 1,000 years, you would definitely be stronger. Why are you in such a hurry to come out? The old men from the Grand Mist Supremacy realm who had gathered around praised him enthusiastically after a brief moment of shock. Gao Kuan had only just stepped into the Supreme of Hongmeng, but his aura was so strong that it completely surpassed all the old men present. These old men were the guardians sent by the Master of the Dim Galaxy to guard the entrance of the 10th Direction territory. They were basically sinners and would die of old age here for the rest of their lives. They were the same as Yen Baitin and the others from the vast universe galaxy. Advance when you're ready. What is perfection? I felt that I had enough, so I naturally came out. Everyone farewell. Wait, Brother Gao Kuan, are you leaving by yourself? Where are you going? We'll open a space-time door and send you there. You don't have to waste your time. We can teleport you to the main cities of the major planets. You'll be there in a moment. An old man said fawningly. That's a good feeling. Send me to the nearest city to the extraterrestrial battlefield. I've just stepped into Hongmeng, and I need to fight. Hiss 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 hiss. Chen Hao's eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight as he said excitedly. Everyone was shocked. That's right. Brother Gao Kuan, Although you're just a beginner supreme of Hongmeng, your strength is enough to dominate the extraterrestrial battlefield. The old man continued, Okay, we'll send you there. Thank you. Brother Gao, you're welcome. I look forward to the day when you'll be in charge of us. But maybe I'll remember you. Chen Hao was slightly taken aback, but immediately understood what they meant. Open. Buzz. Dozens of old men immediately raised their tokens, and the space-time door quickly formed in the void. Chen Hao cupped his fists slightly, turned into a stream of light, and entered directly. Chen Hao, who had many experiences in disguise, was familiar with it. He was not worried about being seen through by the other party. After passing through the space-time door and appearing above a vast city, Chen Hao leisurely landed on a teleportation square that was similar to the center of the League of Defenders. Gao Kuan, you're a supreme of Hongmeng now? What a powerful aura! The moment they appeared, their divine wills locked onto Chen Hao, and they let out exclamations. No wonder he's the top Grand Luo of the Dark Demon Clan. He's recognized everywhere. Chen Hao thought to himself. Immediately, several old men appeared in front of Gao Kuan. Before they arrived, they cupped their fists from afar, and their expressions were filled with shock and friendliness. Brother Gao Kuan, I didn't expect you to be promoted to a supreme of Hongmeng so quickly. I'm afraid the title of the top Hongmeng in our Dark Demon Clan will soon change hands. Congratulations. You're too kind. I've just been promoted to Hongmeng. Chen Hao smiled and cupped his fists humbly. Brother Gao Kuan, you're here. Did the controllers send you to the extraterrestrial battlefield? You can say that. I've just stepped out of the 10 Directions territory and need to fight. The extraterrestrial battlefield is undoubtedly the most suitable. That's right. With Brother Gao Kuan's aura, you'll be like a fish in water in the extraterrestrial battlefield. This is great. With Brother Gao Kuan joining us, you'll definitely be able to lead our Dark Demon Clan to kill that monster from the human clan. Yes. The monster from the human clan? Is he very strong? Chen Hao asked with a frown. Brother, it seems you haven't received any news. There's a monster from the human clan in the extraterrestrial battlefield. His strength is terrifying, and his name is Itoda. He's killed countless people from our Dark Demon Clan and the other 8 galaxies. Is that so? Chen Hao asked with a frown, and a trace of disdain flashed across his face. In everyone's opinion, Gao Kuan didn't care at all. However, what they didn't know was that Chen Hao was laughing in his heart. He wasn't surprised that Itoda was called a monster. After more than 10,000 years of training in the depths of the chaotic space, he had experienced countless life and death situations. To be able to survive, it was difficult for him not to be strong. Moreover, although the macro world in Itoda's mind was rushed, Chen Hao had done his best, so it wouldn't be bad. Then there was the comprehension of the 3 great immortal scriptures. How could it not be strong? Yes, since Brother Gao Kuan is here, it's not his turn to be arrogant. I'm afraid it's too late. Too late. A year ago, our Dark Demon Clan formed an alliance with the Tyrants and the other 8 galaxies to kill the human clan. The first task to complete is to kill the monster from the human clan, Itoda. Once he's dead, the human clan's spiritual pillar will be gone. It'll be much easier then. He's just a monster from the human clan. Our Dark Demon Clan and the other 8 galaxies can't even subdue him. Everyone who can send me off. I've just advanced to Hongmeng, so I don't know anything about the extraterrestrial battlefield. I hope I can make it in time. I want to kill this monster with my own hands and show off the Dark Demon Clan's might. Chen Hao said sternly. Impressive. Brother Gao, this is the entrance to the extraterrestrial battlefield. Please follow me. But, Brother Gao, the current commander of our clan in the extraterrestrial battlefield is Du Qianfan. Once you enter, find our clan members. The commander will naturally be you. I believe Du Qianfan won't dare to compete with you. It doesn't matter. I'm mainly here to train myself. It's inconvenient to lead the army. Let's go in first. Okay, I look forward to Brother Gao's triumphant return. Please. Goodbye. Chen Hao cupped his fists and stepped into the huge teleportation portal. After a terrifying wave of energy, Chen Hao clearly felt that time and space were torn apart. It was as if he had entered a long and narrow ancient tunnel. This was definitely not as simple as a teleportation portal. It contained the aura of a galaxy tunnel. How did the 10 galaxies merge together to form the ancient chaos vast thousand world? Chen Hao did not have any information in this regard. How to enter another galaxy from one galaxy, Chen Hao did not know Chen Hao. However, Chen Hao fell into deep thought when he sensed that he had been sent into the tunnel by the enormous teleportation array. That ancient aura was very similar to the galaxy tunnel. Although it was not as strong as the galaxy tunnel, it had existed for an unknown period of time. Ancient chaos, the name of the vast thousand world was ancient chaos. Now, the 10 galaxies had been established. For hundreds of millions of years, no one had completely controlled it. It was also because of this balance, killing, competition, and snatching of resources without a unified management that the strength of the cultivators in the ancient chaos vast thousand world was far inferior to that of the chaotic vast thousand world. Through the situation in the 10-direction territory, Chen Hao was very clear that if the ancient chaos vast thousand world were to be united, it would definitely be stronger than the chaotic vast thousand world. Perhaps only Senior Yi Lan and the ancestor of the Shao clan know a thing or two. Shuttling through space similar to the galaxy tunnel, Chen Hao thought to himself. The ancestor of the Shao clan, at all costs, painstakingly worked for hundreds of millions of years in order to unify the ancient chaos vast thousand world. If there were no huge interests driving him, why would he do this? Unfortunately, Chen Hao did not know anything. His realm limited his cognitive level. He, who had been immersed in the Great Tao alone, did not obtain much information from the experts. His knowledge of the ancient chaos vast thousand world was not as much as the chaotic vast thousand world. In the vast and boundless extraterritorial battlefield, there was no sky, no earth, the entire space was like a blood-red setting sun. The mountain-like boulders were just the smallest space dust here. Incomparably huge meteorite fragments were everywhere. Almost every meteorite was crisscrossed with ravines, fist marks, sword marks, and other traces of a great battle. Some were so ancient that it was impossible to determine their age, while some were newly left behind and were still emitting traces of Tao mark pressure. The smell of blood permeated the entire space, outlining a terrifying scene with the blood-red setting sun in the sky. Any cultivator who stepped in for the first time would be infected by this aura and their battle intent would rise. This was the extraterritorial battlefield. The battlefield where the cultivators in the Grandmist Supremacy realm fought had existed for countless years and coexisted with the ancient chaos vast thousand world. Just like the 10-direction domain, it was impossible to determine its specific spatial location. Just like the 10-direction galaxy, no cultivator could tell how they were connected. This was the existence that broke the spatial structure. Kill, rumble. In this vast and boundless space, terrifying battles were taking place everywhere. Raging energy explosions, terrifying divine powers, and the sounds of battle resounded through the heavens and earth. It was a completely different concept from the battle in the 10-direction domain. Ito Kenta, die. Don't even think about escaping today. Kill. Tens of thousands of Hongmeng Supreme Masters from the 9 galaxies surrounded Ito Kenta on a meteorite that was larger than an ordinary planet. Endless Tao principles and endless coercion covered the heavens and earth like an invisible net. Even the cultivators who worked together to release the coercion felt heavy pressure, let alone Ito Kenta who was in the center. They couldn't even breathe smoothly. A bunch of idiots. Do you think you can kill me like this? Ito Kenta was bathed in blood, but his essence, chi, and spirit were burning fiercely like an erupting volcano. Mysterious runes surrounded him within 100 miles, resisting the terrifying coercion and Tao principles. His long hair and robe fluttered in the wind. His ferocious expression and scarlet eyes were wild and domineering. He didn't feel like he was on the verge of death at all. There was only a little madness, a little arrogance, and a little disdain. A chapter with more than 4,000 words, looking for monthly votes. The number of chapters will increase in the future and the number of chapters will decrease. Chapter 1096. Kill. Kill, 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 t. With a loud roar that resounded through the heavens and earth, countless alien masters suddenly joined forces to launch an overwhelming attack. Saber light, sword shadows, fist radiance, endless Tao laws, energy that was as deep as the sea, and the pressure that could destroy the starry sky, violently shot toward Ito Ta at the center of the attack. Roar! Boom! Boom! Itoda, who was already full of fighting spirit, suddenly clenched his fists in front of him and roared into the sky. What shocked all the alien cultivators was that Itoda's roar, which seemed to be tearing the void, suddenly became louder again. It was like a dragon roaring in the sky, causing the surrounding space to explode continuously. Itoda's aura, which had obviously reached the peak, soared by a large margin. When the dragon-like roar reached its peak again, what made the hearts of the outsiders thump was that Ito Ta's roar once again burst out. The cries of the sparrow, the howl of the ghost, and the roar of the Qilin. Wave after wave, 5 waves erupted in succession, and they flowed without end. They were like endless waves, and each wave pushed the previous one to a new height. Break for me. It was also at this time that Ito Ta's wild voice was like a thunderclap, which put an end to the roar of the pentacold wave. The strength of his body soared by many times, and he punched the sky. Boom! Itachi's fist pierced through the web-like Tao laws and pressure. His entire body shot up into the sky like a cannonball. As soon as Ito Ta broke the seal, the overwhelming attacks collided, exploded, and annihilated. The entire huge meteorite was like a mushroom cloud, turning into gravel and dust. How can he be so strong? Is he really in the early stage of the Hongmeng state? He must have fused with an ancient beast. This is his true strength, Qi. Tens of thousands of people had gone to great lengths to catch Itoda like a turtle in a jar, but in the end, they still failed and let him escape. Chase after him. He's already an arrow at the end of its flight. No matter the price, we can't give him any time to catch his breath. Chase. Send out the news. Tell the various armies to join forces. After the leaders of the 9 galaxies came back to their senses, they began to clamor crazily. A bunch of idiots. There's no need to chase after them. A terrifying aura suddenly sped over, traveling thousands of miles in an instant. Everyone heed my orders. The 9 Galaxies Alliance has issued a decree. Attack the entrance to the vast universe galaxy. Ah! Are you going to give up on Itoda? He killed so many of our people. Humph, we will attack the entrance of the human race. As long as we destroy it, do you think Itoda won't take the initiative to come? Unless he gave up on the human race. Execute. We haven't been able to kill this guy even after a year. There's no need to waste any more time chasing him. See, the blood-colored flowing light concealed its own aura at a terrifying speed as it shuttled back and forth. He actually didn't chase after me? Itoda sensed the aura behind him. His twisted expression flashed with a trace of seriousness. Come out, duh. A moment later, a crystal light flashed between Itoda's eyebrows, and streams of flowing light poured out. In an instant, countless human cultivators appeared around Itoda. Brother Itoda, thank you for saving our lives. Did you escape? Brother Itoda, thank you. Without you, we would all be finished. Damn it, the 9 galaxies have joined forces to kill us. Just when everyone was thanking Itoda, an enchanting woman with a particularly plump buttocks looked at Itoda, who was covered in blood, and said with heartache, Tenoda, I have the best sage-level healing elixir here. You are so badly injured, hurry up and recover. Tenoda, I have it here too. Suddenly, another beautiful woman with a big buttocks came to Itoda's side, took out an elixir, and stuffed it into Itota's mouth. Itotaka's twisted and painful expression suddenly showed a smug and evil smile. He didn't pay attention to the gratitude of the people. He didn't even look at them. He stretched out his arms and took the two enchanting women into his arms. He opened his mouth on the left and opened his mouth on the right, and swallowed the two top-grade saint-level healing elixirs. I am embarrassed, Tenoda. The other human cultivators, regardless of whether they looked young or old, all awkwardly averted their gazes. This is too fucking shameless, too obscene. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, he rubbed and pinched the two women's buttocks, treating them as if they were air. Why are you still here? Do you want to see? I don't mind. However, when they chase after you, I will not be able to save you. Itota suddenly said. After that, his eyes fell on the two women in his arms again. He said, Baby, don't be jealous. I am very powerful. Not to mention the two of you, I can take care of 10, 8, hundreds, or thousands of you. Ha. Bah, what kind of bullshit is that? It's useless. It's not as fast as our recovery. Hundreds of human cultivators were sweating profusely. The man swallowed his saliva and directly left with his fists clasped at Itota. The woman blushed and flashed away. After a certain distance, some women couldn't help but look back. But in the end, they left again, reserved. How many people could put down their pride? After all, it was very rare. Although they had heard that Itota was a monstrous genius who had no taboos with women, it was still too shocking to see it with their own eyes. This was not only a man who had no taboos with women, but also a man who did whatever he wanted to do with the whole world. He did not care about what others thought. He was lawless and did whatever he wanted. Too strong, too shameless, what a pity. Yes, what a pity. Damn it, if I were him, what kind of woman can't I conquer? Not to mention others, in the extraterritorial battlefield, there are many talented and beautiful women with primordial bodies. As long as he is willing, I don't think anyone can resist his pursuit. Yes, it's not that he pursued them. In the beginning, many beautiful women with primordial bodies pursued him. But this guy ignored them. Every time he saw a coquettish woman, especially one with a big butt, his eyes would light up. You see those two just now, they are famous for being sluts? Yes, you don't say, those two sluts' strength improved very quickly. Itota, what a pity. I think it's not that he doesn't like young and beautiful geniuses with primordial bodies. It's just that he doesn't like any of them. Now, he is looking for these sluts for fun. He can do whatever he wants and doesn't need to take responsibility. Okay, stop discussing. Let's leave quickly and meet up with the army. Damn it, the alliance of the 9 galaxies. Although our human race is strong, it is difficult to escape now. I'm afraid it will be more dangerous in the future. Around 10 p.m., there is one more chapter. Today, I guarantee that 10,000 words will explode. Looking for votes. Chapter 1097. The Grand Mist Supremacy Realm was the pinnacle existence in the ancient Chaos Grand Thousand Worlds, except for a few Dao-severing true immortals. The talent advantage of human cultivators was very obvious in the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm as a whole. It was precisely because of this that even though there were few human cultivators, in the vast and boundless extraterritorial battlefield, the 9 galaxies wouldn't be able to annihilate human cultivators within a short period of time even if they were in an alliance. They were flexible and could run away if they couldn't win. If they wanted to form an effective attack, they had to chase, encircle, and kill repeatedly. Otherwise, it would be difficult to obtain a big harvest. The most effective, cruel, intense, and radical method was undoubtedly to attack the entrance of the human race. Once such a war was launched, it meant a bloody battle. Countless cultivators were destined to die. Especially the attacking side. Because the 10 entrances of the 10 galaxies were easy to defend and difficult to attack. Moreover, no matter how many people there were, they couldn't enter at the same time. As long as the humans stood near the entrance and defended, they could achieve the effect of one man holding back 10,000 men. This was the biggest reason why the Alliance of the Nine Galaxies didn't choose this method at the beginning. If they could kill the current spiritual support of the human cultivators, Itoda, and then start to encircle and kill him, the effect would be much better. After all, Hongming's supremacy realm had a mind world. As long as a monster like Itoda saw a big battle, he would be a firefighter. If he could win, he would directly kill. If he couldn't, he would directly absorb all the human cultivators into his mind world. With his powerful personal strength, he would break through the encirclement and escape. This was a very troublesome matter. But now, after more than a year, they had spent a lot of manpower and energy. Tens of thousands of people finally formed an encirclement restriction, but the severely injured Itoda had escaped. This made them give up on pursuing Itoda. This was purely a waste of time. Then, they could only use the final method, which was to attack the entrance of the human race. They would pay several times the price in exchange for the final victory. As the narrow and long passage suddenly widened, Chen Hao appeared in a space with a radius of 10,000 miles. Countless Grand Mist Supremacy Realm Dark Demon cultivators were sitting cross-legged in it. After sensing the sudden fluctuation of energy from Chen Hao, many pairs of eyes immediately gathered. Gao Kuan? Gao Kuan. A powerful aura suddenly shot through the crowd at lightning speed, arriving in front of Chen Hao with an excited expression. Junior brother, you're out? You finished tempering so quickly? An acquaintance? Chen Hao frowned slightly. Although he had taken control of Gao Kuan's body and soul, he had not fused with Gao Kuan's memories. At his level of strength, Gao Kuan was like a worm to him, unable to withstand a single blow. Fusing with Gao Kuan's memories would stain his own soul. The people who knew him before were obviously not familiar with him because of the reputation of the puppet. But now, the middle-aged man who had rushed over was obviously stronger than the people around him, yet he called him Junior Brother. Very soon? I think it's already very slow. Chen Hao's expression didn't change at all. He only smiled and said proudly, Junior Martial Brother? Forget it. You've already come out. Could it be that you didn't go to see Master? Why didn't my teacher inform me of your arrival? I need to fight. Chen Hao said, Senior Martial Brother, is that the entrance? I'm going. Wait. Junior Martial Brother, I know you're strong, but it's really not good for you to go now. Even if our teacher knows, he won't let you go in now. But to preserve our strength. Preserve our strength. Those who are going in now, aside from 1,000 army commanders and commanders, are all ordinary characters and cannon fodder. Senior Martial Brother, what do you mean? I don't understand. Our 9 galaxies have formed an alliance and will soon attack the entrance of the vast universe galaxy. This is a battle to the death. Countless people are destined to die in order to annihilate the human race's cultivators. At that time, the human race will inevitably send out Dao-severing perfected immortals. There's no point for you to go now. Chen Hao's heart skipped a beat. Dao-severing perfected immortals? Yes. Now, no one dares to use Dao-severing perfected immortals. Once they do, it will be the final battle. Before the entrance is lost, the human race will definitely not use them. But if it's really lost, they will have to appear. Otherwise, our 9 galaxies will swarm in, and the entire vast universe galaxy will be turned upside down. Besides, it's an alliance of 9 galaxies anyway. How can we be so stupid as to let the police station have them? I believe the other galaxies are the same. Senior Martial Brother, are you here to guard the entrance of our race? That's right. Just these few people? Junior Martial Brother, you were in the Grand Luo realm before, so it's not strange that you don't know about this. Look, that light door is the entrance to the extraterrestrial battlefield. Apart from there, no other place can be attacked. We only need to guard this place and kill whoever comes in. 1 man can hold the pass against 10,000. So, you can't go now. When the time comes, no matter how strong you are, if you go in, you will directly face the attacks of countless people. Our 9 Galaxies Alliance will have to sacrifice at least several times more people to be able to take it down. Indeed. Chen Hao frowned slightly and then said, I heard that the human race has a monstrous genius called Itoda, right? Yes, that's right. He's very strong, very strong. Even junior martial brother. I'm afraid. Ahem, you can definitely defeat him, but now is not the time. Don't think about senior martial brother. In your heart, you already think that I'm no match for him, right? You're just afraid of arousing my competitiveness, so you changed your words. I've made up my mind. Don't worry, before the Tao Severing Perfected Immortal comes out, I'll leave on my own. After Chen Hao finished speaking, he turned into a stream of light and rushed toward the light door. No, junior martial brother. The expert suddenly released a terrifying energy to seal Chen Hao, preventing Chen Hao from stepping into the light door. He knew very well that if Itoda had shown his strength before, Gao Kun might have been able to win. However, the recent news made him certain that Gao Kun, who had just stepped into the Hongmeng realm, was no match for Itoda. Hundreds of thousands of people had set up a trap and eventually formed a siege of tens of thousands of people. They had joined forces to condense an extremely powerful seal. However, Itoda, who was seriously injured, had used an even more terrifying trump card to escape. At this moment, Chen Hao waved his hand casually without turning his head. Boom! The terrifying shock wave caused the entire space to tremble violently. Boom! 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 Senior martial brother, you're so weak? We'll meet again. The expert who had spat out a mouthful of blood was shocked speechless as he looked at his junior martial brother who had stepped into the light door casually. The surrounding cultivators widened their eyes in shock. Who was Gao Kun's senior martial brother? He was one of the top Hongmeng Supremes in the dim galaxy. Although he was not the strongest, he was almost invincible in the Hongmeng realm. He was also the disciple of the controller. It was certain that he would advance to a Tao Severing Perfected Immortal in the future. However, Gao Kun, who was the strongest Grand Luo in the dim galaxy more than 1,000 years ago, had just advanced to the Hongmeng realm more than 1,000 years later. With a casual wave of his hand, he had lightly injured his senior martial brother. The sentence he had said before leaving seemed to be that he was surprised that his senior martial brother was not as strong as he had expected. No, it should be that he was much weaker than he had expected. This was simply too shocking. An early-stage supreme being in the Hongmeng realm. Only few. Junior martial brother is a genius, but could it be that he has encountered some amazing opportunity? This strength definitely has the ability to fight against an ordinary Tao Severing Perfected Immortal. Heavens, this is too exaggerated. This talent, could it be that he's catching up to Master? He hasn't seen Master yet. No, I must report this immediately. What? Jin'e left the 10 Directions territory and went directly to the extraterritorial battlefield? A majestic shadow suddenly appeared in front of everyone and asked with a shocked look on his face. The surrounding cultivators had already knelt on the ground. They looked respectful and did not even dare to breathe loudly. Although they knew this was only a wisp of the controller's primordial spirit, no one dared to show any disrespect. Yes, Master, nonsense. It's only been 1,000 years. Why did he come out so early? He didn't even tell me that he came out and went directly to the extraterritorial battlefield. Why didn't you stop him? Master, I stopped him. However, junior martial brother insisted on fighting the human genius, Tai Chi. Nonsense. Nonsense. But junior martial brother is very strong. I used all my strength to stop him, but he injured me with a casual wave of his hand. How is that possible? But junior martial brother is a genius. I feel that he must have had some amazing encounters. His strength is as deep as the ocean and unfathomable. The divine powers he used casually are beyond my ability. Are you serious? The figure's beard trembled. I dare not lie to you, Master. Good. He injured you with a casual wave of his hand. He already has the strength of an ordinary Tao Severing Perfected Immortal. If that's the case, then don't bother about him. Send my order to the extraterritorial battlefield. Gao Kun will be the commander of the Dark Demon Clan. Inform Gao Kun. Master, Junior Marshal brother went in so suddenly that he didn't even have a token, this little bastard. Well, let's ignore him for now. Just send the order to all the commanders. Report to me immediately if you have any news. Yes, Master. Buzz. A violent fluctuation came from the space, and Chen Hao suddenly appeared in the extraterritorial battlefield. The extraterritorial battlefield. Then, a crystal light flashed between his eyebrows, and Chen Hao's true body jumped out of the puppet's mind world. Then, Chen Shui and the others appeared by Chen Hao's side. We're here? This is the extraterritorial battlefield? What a terrifying aura. His perception is not even 1/10 of it. Just as Qin Shui, Hu Mainyang, Coiling Dragon, and the others were sizing up this foreign battlefield in astonishment, the crystal light between Chen Hao's eyebrows flashed once more, and two figures tumbled out. Lan Feng was brandishing his arms, baring his fangs and brandishing his claws, his face filled with fear. Xiao Feng's face was also pale. However, he suddenly opened his eyes and let out a scream that was completely different from Lan Feng's. Lan Feng screamed in fear. Xiao Feng screamed in surprise. Seeing this, Pan Long burst into laughter. The other girls also couldn't help but laugh. How embarrassing! Lan Feng, you've embarrassed us all. Du Jing couldn't help but say with disdain. Du Jing! You're bullshitting. I'm facing fear head-on and using fear to overcome fear. Can't you see how good my mental state is? How strong is my endurance? When I'm in fear, my state of mind transcends fear and comprehend the power of fear. You don't understand. So that's how it is. Lan Feng, I'm impressed. I admit defeat. Du Jing cupped his fists and bowed with a face full of admiration. Pan Long was slightly taken aback and said, When I have time, I'll also try the Mountain of Corpses and Sea of Blood. It seems pretty good. Hu Mainyang smiled. You'll all try it, Chi. Chen Hao put away Gao Kuan and sealed him in the Mountain of Corpses and Sea of Blood again. Chen Hao, I'm weak and can't do it here. You'd better send me into the Mountain of Corpses and Sea of Blood. Sister Xiao, you're still going? Don't go in. I'll take you and kill the alien races. Isn't that great? You're the one feeling great, not me. I'm not that strong. Xiao Feng curled her lips and looked at Chen Hao again. Chen Hao, send me in, you're not afraid? Chen Hao was slightly surprised. Of course I'm afraid. But I've improved a lot. Especially that boundless pressure of Tao. That was condensed by you, right? You've surpassed your master? Xiao Feng's face quickly became rosy again. She stared at Chen Hao and curled her lips slightly as she said. Lan Feng looked at Xiao Feng with a conflicted expression. The way Xiao Feng looked at Lan Feng made him feel fear from the bottom of his heart. This fear wasn't just fear, but cough cough. Chen Hao felt Lan Feng's abnormality and coughed awkwardly. He said, Sister-in-law, you two should go in together. Good disciple, you call me sister-in-law so smoothly. I'm your master. Master, do you know? You've received my inheritance. Inheritance, do you know? You've just arrived and you're already bullying your master. Why aren't you exerting your pressure? Hu Mainyang, Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, Lin Xia, and Long Ting bullying me is one thing. But you, Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, Xia Yu, Tentai Lien, Leng Ninghuan, Leng Ningle, you're bullying me too? I'm the limitless old ancestor. I've controlled your bloodline origins. Only Little Nan, Little Yen, and Ning Bing didn't bully me. I'll remember this. Although I'm in the third life and was born around the same time as you, I still have my original body and the second life. My master is Controller Yilan. When the time comes, I'll ask him to teach you a lesson for not respecting your elders. Especially you, my good disciple. It's fine if you don't want to acknowledge me as your master, but send me in. Let me earn enough and receive your inheritance once, the highest inheritance. Don't think that I haven't taught you. Back in the second world, I personally fought with you. It's just that you didn't know it was me. No one expected that the limitless old ancestor Xiao Feng would suddenly flip out. No one expected him to be so sharp. This time, everyone, including Chen Hao, was dumbfounded. In particular, Chen Shui and the others from the Limitless Planet lowered their heads. Chen Hao was so conflicted that he felt a headache coming on. Everyone was speechless. What should they say? At the same time, they also understood why she hadn't resisted when they had called her sister-in-law. Only Little Nan, Little Yen, and Ning Bing, the three of them hadn't exerted their pressure on her. The others had all exerted their pressure. Although they didn't feel that they had exerted too much pressure, after all, she had withstood it. But when they gathered together and thought about how she had been able to calmly endure the fear of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, they understood what was going on. Her endurance was strong, but her resistance was low. The reason was because she was in the third life. 10,000 words eruption complete. Requesting votes. Chapter 1098. Xiao Feng was in the third anima. If she hadn't entered the 10 directions domain, this wouldn't have happened. But when she entered the 10 directions domain, Yi Lan had already connected her state of mind, will, and cultivation comprehension with her original body. In other words, Xiao Feng had the mental state of her main body, but her strength was that of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. This was the reason why her endurance far exceeded the resistance of the third anima. My good disciple, you have nothing to say? Xiao Feng raised her head and pouted. She took a step forward and glared at Chen Hao. Chen Hao awkwardly took a step back and said, We overlooked your current situation. We didn't mean to pressure you. There's no need to explain. Send me in. Xiao Feng turned her face away. Xiao Feng. At that moment, Lan Feng suddenly said, Don't blame them. It was all my wishful thinking. I was the one who wanted to exert pressure on you. I didn't realize that you were in the third anima, so I appeared and made you unable to resist. It made me think too highly of myself and think too highly of myself. I gave you an inch and wanted a yard. This has nothing to do with boss, the sisters-in-law, or the brothers and sisters. I apologize. Lan Feng. Chen Hao couldn't help but say, Lan Feng? How could he not feel Lan Feng's current mood? Boss, that's the truth. I was too naive. I'm sorry. Boss, we've already stepped into the foreign battlefield. Let's begin. I want to act alone. Don't worry about me. I'll go first. Before Lan Feng finished speaking, he turned into a streak of light and quickly left. His voice echoed in everyone's ears. Everyone could see that Lan Feng was trying to put on an unnatural expression. It wasn't easy for him to meet someone he liked. Furthermore, he had expressed his feelings in front of everyone and asked for their help. Who would have thought that he would end up making a fool of himself? The falling flowers were willing, but the heartless flowing water was merciless. Xiao Feng's words had already revealed a clear message. Brother, I'll go check on Brother Lan. Chen Nan frowned and looked at Chen Hao. Okay. Little Xia and I will go too. What can little Nan say with her clumsy tongue? Boss, don't worry. This kid will be fine soon. Du Jing pulled Lin Xia and chased after Lan Feng. Damn it. I'll just beat him up and nothing will happen. Senior brother, I'll go too. Anyway, it's too safe to be by your side. Rumble. The coiling dragon's huge body chased after him in a frenzy. Big brother, you guys go too. Be careful. Send me a message if anything happens. When Chen Ling and Liang also spoke, Chen Hao waved his hand and said, Chen Ling replied before she suddenly sent a voice transmission, Big brother, feelings will always be a matter between two people. Let nature take its course. In the blink of an eye, only Chen Hao, the girls, and Xiao Feng, whose expression had turned ugly, were left. Chen Hao looked at Xiao Feng. After a moment of hesitation, he said, As far as I can remember, this was the first time Lan Feng fell in love. He has fallen in love, so I should be moved. I should happily throw myself into his arms and become his Tao companion? Does that mean you'll accept all the women who fall in love with you? Or should I say, I accept all the men who are attracted to me? That's not what I meant. You didn't? My dear disciple, I'm afraid you don't even believe your own words, right? Send me in, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I won't force you to call me master. After this is over, we'll write off our relationship as master and disciple, and we won't owe each other anything. Chen Hao frowned slightly. You won't let me in? Fine, I'll just die here. Since master asked me to sacrifice my life, I'll sacrifice it completely. Swoosh. As Xiaofeng spoke, he suddenly turned into a stream of light and flashed away. At this moment, Chen Hao had no choice but to move. A crystal flashed between his eyebrows. Xiaofeng resisted slightly and snorted at Chen Hao before entering the world in Chen Hao's mind. How? Chen Hao was the first to catch up to him. She grabbed his arm and said, Don't think too much. We've done what we should do. Let nature take its course. Yeah, brother, don't think too much. Brother Lan should be fine soon. How do you feel? There's no need to worry, I've blocked off her divine sense. When he heard Chen Shui and little Yen, Chen Hao looked at all the women that had arrived successively and asked. I feel. Long Ting patted her head. Hu Mainyang frowned slightly. Heli and Wuzi looked at the sky. The two sisters looked at each other affectionately. Bailey Ningbing bit her lip. I know even if you don't say it. Don't worry, I won't fall into this dilemma. Master is right. Master? Which master? Master Xiaofeng. Lan Feng has feelings for her, but does that mean she must have feelings for him? Even for you, brother, I went through a lot of twists and turns, went through untold hardships, climbed a mountain of swords, jumped into a pot of boiling oil, and went through 81 difficulties before I finally got my hands on you. How can true love be so simple? Don't you think so? Chen Hao suddenly said with a smile, his eyes sparkling. The girls frowned and looked at Chen Hao. Brother, does that include me? Xiao Yan asked with a blushing face, after a slight pause, heartlessly burrowed into Chen Hao's arms. Brother has always treated you as my most beloved sister, a little girl who hasn't grown up. Now it seems that you're still. How? I'm not a little girl anymore. Yes, those who should have grown up have all grown up. Brother feels that no one in the world is worthy of you, so I can only reluctantly be your brother and Dao companion. Fortunately, I'm not your biological brother. Just nice. Chen Hao said as he pinched Chen Yan's little face lovingly. Although Chen Shui and the others knew that Chen Hao deliberately didn't want them to feel a little heavy in their hearts and atmosphere. But when they saw Chen Hao's extremely doting look towards Chen Yan, and yet he said such shameless words, they couldn't help but laugh. Brother, I won't call you brother in the future. You're confusing familial love. What I want is love. Little fool, the highest level of love is familial love. Blood is thicker than water. That's love without a trace of impurities, a love that can't be cut off. You've directly advanced to the highest level of love, and you're still not happy? I'm not happy, Chen Yan said frankly. But actually, what I want to say is that parents, younger brothers, younger sisters, family, these are all facts that can never be changed. No matter when, no matter what happens, it will never change. But Dao companions, brothers, don't think too much, I'm just speaking from my heart. I'm not saying that between us, Dao companions can meet and part at any time. Brothers and sisters who can give their lives for each other, can also leave at any time, or even turn against each other. I don't want to see such a situation. Chen Hao's gaze lingered on the girls as he said softly. How, are you worried about Lan Feng? I'm not worried about him. It's just that my problem is very serious. I don't know if Master's third anima has anything to do with me, but I feel that it might have something to do with it. If it wasn't for me, Lan Feng might not have succeeded, but with me, it's very difficult for him to succeed. With only the few of you here, I'm not boasting, nor am I complacent. I just deeply hate this feeling. My brilliance covers up everything, and it can't harden my heart to refuse anything, especially beautiful women. You're moved and I'm soft-hearted and I'm moved. Chen Hao didn't look at the girls again, but instead looked at the void. It's like a curse that I can't break free from. Again and again, it's always unavoidable, making you accept it, calmly accept it, and finally indulge me, Chen Shui and the others quieted down, not saying a word. Chen Hao's expression and tone weren't joking. He was opening his heart and telling them what was in his heart. As for Chen Hao's words, Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, Xia Yuyu, and Chen Yan didn't say anything. However, Tantai Lian, the sisters, and Long Ting all frowned slightly. Especially Bailey Ningbing and Hu Mainyang, they felt as if he was talking about them. Many times, many people have said that I have luck with women. I also attribute this to my luck with women. I remember that the first person I liked was Xiao Mei, Sister Mei. At that time, I had just entered the Xiao clan of the Eastern continent and became a cultivator of the secular world. She was good to me and was my personal instructor. At that time, I had just awakened the memories of my previous life. I had the body of a 12 or 13-year-old youth, but I had the heart of a mature man, including the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Sister Mei was a mature woman to me. Later, I quickly improved and left. Later on, Sister Mei, who had ordinary talent, was pressured by her parents to agree to Brother Xiao Feng of the Xiao clan. I only found out when I returned from the cultivation world. At that time, I pretended that I didn't care. I also thought that Sister Mei had found happiness, so I didn't care. But in reality, I cared. Later on, when I found out that Sister Mei had always been loyal to me, and that she and Xiao Feng were only Dao companions in name, I was very happy. Look, this is Sister Mei's appearance at that time. Chen Hao seemed to have completely sunk into the memories of the past. A crystal light flashed between his eyebrows, and he took out a small knife and a piece of iron wood. In an instant, Xiao Mei's appearance when she had sent him to the Royal Academy was vividly displayed in front of everyone. At that time, I understood Sister Mei's gaze. I was very fickle. Before I left Cloud State City, I used the golden snake coiling hand in a duel with Xiao Wu. At that time, Xiao Wu hated me to death. I attacked her chest and barely won. Moreover, our energy attributes made us like each other. When I went to the Royal Academy, I was together with Xiao Wu and Mo Yui. Xiao Wu was called Femphilothothemi. You're still talking? Helian Wuzi didn't expect Chen Hao to change the topic and talk about her. She blushed slightly and said angrily. But her heart was filled with joy. First update, yesterday, I really couldn't write anymore in the internet cafe, so I took my daughter out of kindergarten and played with her for a day. Today, I will write until midnight. I will write as many updates as I can. It will definitely explode. Those with monthly votes, please support Dark Mountain. Thank you. Chapter 1099. Femme Fatale, Pink Skeletons. A gentle village, a hero's mound. At that time, I was trembling with fear, as if I was treading on thin ice. In my previous life, to be exact, it was my other half who occupied the main position and influence to a certain extent. Even if it was love, I didn't dare to easily reveal it. Little Wu was ravaged by me like a man. Of course, it was to raise her cultivation and battle strength. I remember that at that time, I even instilled in her to use her beautiful appearance as a trump card that could be used. Chen Hao held Helian Wuzi's small hand and didn't stop, continuing to speak. During that time, during one of my experiences, I encountered the remains of yin-yang dual cultivation. Coincidentally, I entered together with Yuyu, who had run away from home from the cultivation world. At that time, Yuyu's clear eyes were like a pure and flawless angel, pure and clear, without any aura of the secular world. It made me unable to control myself, unable to resist. Because of that kind of gaze, I didn't have any suspicions or worries. Unfortunately, I was forcibly separated by Yuyu's powerful father and grandfather. However, that also stimulated my strong obsession to step into the cultivation world. Sister Yuyu's eyes are indeed very beautiful, like a little doll's. Chen Yen moved in front of the slightly red Xia Yuyu, staring at her eyes as she spoke. Xia Yuyu pinched little Yan's cheeks with both hands, indicating for her to be quiet. Afterwards, during the competition in Xuanwu Empire, I met little Lian. She was like a lotus flower, attracting people's attention, but her scheming was deep and ruthless. In the end, I, little Yen, Yang Fan, Li Feng, and I Giant Pain, obtained the qualifications to step into the cultivation world of the Eastern continent. I couldn't forget the scene of little Wu recklessly attacking the barrier of the teleportation light, crying out for me with a face full of tears. At that time, I discovered that no matter if it was femme fatale or pink skeletons, I had long been unable to part with them. When I stepped into the cultivation world of the Eastern continent for the first test, I met a pervert, Dong Fong Han. He made me nauseous for a very long time. You're the disgusting one. But listen to me first. In the beginning, I really didn't like Xiao Lian, and I wasn't moved at all. Even after I obtained Xiao Lian's primordial Yin body, it was also because of my responsibility. Xiao Lian, don't cry. You're the first woman in my life, and you changed because of me. I like you so much now. When I was training in the Eastern continent, I met Xiao Shui, and we went through many life and death situations together. Later, I found out that the disgusting Lung Yihan was Xiao Shui. My relationship with Xiao Shui can be considered as real equals. It's a relationship that can withstand the test of trials and tribulations. Her blue dress made me dizzy, but at the same time, it also made me want to have her. Although I haven't gotten her yet. Cough cough, I'm talking about her body. What are you trying to say? Chen Shui stared at Chen Hao and asked. Intuition told her that Chen Hao was being so frank. Although the girls wouldn't show anything, Chen Hao definitely couldn't be fair and would definitely cause some people to be in a bad mood. Don't worry. Wait for me to finish. Later, I was the first to leave the Eastern continent and was chased by Xiao Shui. At that time, I was chased by the Eastern continent's Devil Dao and Demon Dao, and I entered the 9 Nether Cold Pond in the origin space of Wuji Star. Later, because I couldn't help myself with Xiao Shui, I almost did that. Master Han Mei took Xiao Shui away. I met Huan Huan and Lele. At that time, without them, I'm afraid I would have died. I'm very perverted. In my previous life, I was a pair of beautiful sisters. But I can endure it and I can control it. When my god-grandfather became my Taoist companion, it was also because the 2 girls seduced me. Later, I let nature take its course. No! Huan Huan and Lele suddenly blushed. Later, I met Xiaoting. Brother Hao, you don't have to say anymore. I drugged you to seduce you. It's just that I couldn't cook the rice with you. Long Ting was thick-skinned and said directly, speaking of which, we endured that drug. At this time, Bailey Ningbing turned her face to the side. She originally thought that Chen Hao would mention her, but instead of her, who was supposed to appear, he changed the topic to Long Ting, love and hate, hate and love. Even if it was just a word or two, she would accept it. She had already thrown everything aside. The past was the past. Even if the evaluation was bad, she could accept it. But Chen Hao had skipped over her. It's not all like what you said. Back then, you treated me so well. How could I let you down? It's just that your appearance is what I'm most conflicted about. Fortunately, the result of my divination has been proven correct. Chen Hao said. At this point, he looked at Bailey Ningbing, who had turned her face to the side, and said, Ningbing, when I first met you, you were high and mighty like a queen. You ordered me to be your Dao partner and even threatened me. At that time, I had the urge to kill you, if it was possible. Later, when we stepped onto the Yaing planet, you became crazier and more unreasonable. Fortunately, you didn't do anything that truly angered me. You also didn't want to kill me. That time I stripped you. Stop it. Bailey Ningbing hurriedly stopped him. Later, you fell out with Moling Takshu, because of me. Mainyang too. At the very beginning, fortunately, I didn't have the strength to kill you. Otherwise, later on, we fought and quarreled, and now, it all seems natural. But Chen Hao changed the topic. Is it really natural? Is it because of my luck with women, or my talent and potential, or is it because enemies always meet? If I didn't have the luck with women, and if I didn't have the talent and strength I have today, and if I was just a mediocre cultivator, would you still be with me? You would. I know all of you would now. For more than 10,000 years, when I had almost no hope of returning, all of you never gave up. I believe that even if I was worthless now, all of you wouldn't leave me. But before I met all of you, I was very mediocre. Chen Hao, what are you trying to say? Is your assumption valid? Or is there any meaning to it? Whom Mainyang couldn't help but ask. It's not valid. There's no meaning to it either. I know all of this and I know all of it, Chen Hao said. Then why are you still saying it? Whom Mainyang asked. To make you dig out your hearts and give me the truest feeling. The truest feeling from when you first met me. You don't have to say it, just condense it into the light of memories and give it to me. I want the truest, the most primitive feeling that can't be affected by my current emotions. In your dreams. I don't care about them, I won't tell you anyway. Chen Shui suddenly said. Little Shui, distance is also a kind of beauty. Whom Mainyang smiled faintly. Mainyang. I don't seem to have any secrets. Long Ting frowned and thought. Yes, little sister Ting is still the best. But I can't give it to you just because you want it. I'll be the same as little Shui and Mainyang. Long Ting said. Me too. How? Thank you for being responsible. Tan Tai Lien stared at Chen Hao and said. If I didn't cry and shout and desperately look for you, would you have never discovered my good side? The endless cycle of reincarnation. Should I consider which me to choose? Ahem. Enough, stop talking. Just pretend I didn't say anything. Brother, I wanted to give it to you, but it's fine if you don't want it. Chen Yen suddenly said. What's the point of giving it to me? Think with your but I know everything about you, brother. Actually, I know you're doing this for Brother Lon and the ancestor. Brother, I think you're overthinking it. You don't want Brother Lon to be hurt, especially because of yourself, right? Chen Yen suddenly said. Everyone's expression changed slightly. How could they not see it? It was just that no one pointed it out and said it out loud. Because they didn't know what to do. To be exact, this really had nothing to do with Chen Hao. However, if it was really as everyone expected, and it was indirectly because of Chen Hao, what should they say? What should they do? Liking someone was a person's freedom. Love was mutual. Just like Xiao Feng said, would you accept anyone who had feelings for you? That was impossible. They couldn't force Xiao Feng to be with Lan Feng. However, a woman's intuition was very frightening. When Xiao Feng first appeared, they called her sister-in-law and exerted pressure. It wasn't as simple as Lan Feng asking them to help. Xiao Feng's sudden outburst didn't seem to be because of Chen Hao rejecting Lan Feng, but the way she looked at Chen Hao and the way she spoke made the women intuitively feel that something was wrong. Perhaps Xiao Feng didn't even notice it, as the people involved. How could Chen Hao and Lan Feng not feel it? Not to mention that Xiao Feng had subtly revealed some kind of hidden desire. Even if Xiao Feng hadn't, the disappointed Lan Feng might have had some thoughts, let alone the girls who could sense it. Right, Chen Hao said. Actually, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. We, the core members of Proud Heavens, have many women. Unfortunately, they're all brothers, cough cough. So, I think this is a good opportunity. They're all cultivators of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. We can make friends with more beautiful and good-natured women. If we can recruit them into Proud Heavens, we can create opportunities for Brother Lon, Brother Pan, and Second Brother Nan. Perhaps everything will be solved. However, brother, before they confirm their relationship, you shouldn't appear. At least, don't meet with any of the women. What do you think? The women looked at Chen Yen. Chen Hao's eyes widened. He was speechless. Is it not good? Brother, have I reached such a terrifying level? I feel that as long as Big Brother is here, any woman will only have you in their eyes, regardless of friend or foe. You also said that you are soft-hearted and then, just like us, they will all be yours. Being your brother is really quite pitiful. Chen Yen said seriously after thinking for a while. What do you think? Chen Hao looked at Chen Shui and the others. You're so annoying. Fortunately, you're not a pervert. Otherwise, I don't know what would happen. Chen Shui glared at Chen Hao. No one knew that Chen Shui said to Chen Hao telepathically. For example, Dong Lu, for example. Chen Hao's face instantly turned the color of pig liver. Second update, very difficult to write. Very slow to write. that you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.